Introducing hashtag Team Yahawashai, your portal to becoming actual reality witnesses. Only on the Yahawashai News Network.
And we are live. How are you doing this evening, brother?
I'm okay. I'm glad to be here tonight, and I'm excited to get into the content. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. So I sort of wanted to kick this whole thing off tonight with laying the groundwork, why we're talking about this a little bit. And first off, if you are offended, please read the description box. There's a message for you about why we are doing this tonight, but we're going to go through it a little bit right now as to why we're doing this. And so we're going to have this little intro thing here where we're both going to talk about it, the reason why we're going to be talking about Bob tonight. And the main thing is, what I want everybody to get out of this hangout is what happens at death. So I do believe that this is possibly the first time that a major character from the fake flat earth has passed away, because we did cover Rob Skiba and we did cover Mak Parhar. And with both of those, there was a lot of evidences that it was freemasonic death fakers. You know, Mak called his own death in a live stream, and Rob Skiba signed his own obituary. There was a lot of clues that something wasn't right. So in this case, there is none of that evidence that something's foul play here, and we're treating it like Bob is actually gone. But we're going to be using this opportunity to talk about what happens at death, because so many people have this really false perspective of we're going to heaven, we're going to be floating around on clouds, playing harps. And so we want to go through tonight scripturally what happens to the righteous, scripturally what happens to the wicked. And we've got extra canonical scriptures. We've got the regular 66 Bible verses that we're going to be looking at. And I'm going to let you know right now, there's not going to be enough time to go through all of that material tonight. So we will be expounding upon it Sunday evening. But brother, why don't you tell us about, why you want to talk about this, what's led up to this, what you want to get out of tonight.
So you're going to have to, I think, dial me up a little bit.
Okay.
So this is how it took place. When the news came across the board, it was Battery 79 who jumped in the messenger and said, yeah, another flat earther has left us. And I was surprised when he said it was Bob. And a lot of things went through my mind at that moment. I was like, wow, okay. Instantly, no matter the disagreements that we have here on YouTube, my heart still goes out to Bob's family. Now, I don't know what kind of a father Bob was, a husband, an uncle, a friend. I just can relate and testify to the things that I experienced with Bob. And I don't want to, this is not me in any way trying to, go over and jump all over Bob's grave. I am not doing that. My focus tonight is to show people that what we do in this life, what we say, what we think is recorded, and we will stand witness for it. And if I don't come out here and do this, I'm going to be held accountable. I'm going to be held accountable for everything that I do. And my hopes is that there might be somebody out there that sees this and thinks, hey, wait a minute. Maybe I should start telling the truth. Maybe I should stop actively fighting against two guys who just give up their entire lives to speak truth, right? My goal is not to antagonize Bob's family in any way. My heart goes out to them. It doesn't matter. Even if I absolutely hated the other person on the other screen, I would never wish them ill will, nor do I want anybody to end up in the lake of fire. I just want to get that straight. I come out here and I want to pray for Bob's family, that they go through this time. Pray for everybody that Bob's connected to, that they can get through this tragedy. Bob was still a young man. He wasn't an old man. He had lots of time left. I don't know what the circumstances are around his death, but Bob's gone. I'm going to throw it back to you. This is the last time that you're going to hear us talking about Bob from Glowbusters. This is it. We're not going to continue to go over this. And I'm really thankful that we're going to be able to use this as an example. And I'm hoping that this bodes well for Bob, that we're able to show his example, because lo and behold, Jason, for the last 7 years, we've been documenting everything that's taken place between us and Bob Knodel.
that's an important point right there. So you just mentioned the last 7 years. So these videos, when this all went down, this happened in the spring of 2017. So what we've done is we've just crossed over now where it has been 7 years from when this all originally transpired. And so it originally transpired with Bob. Bob is the first person that I ran into conflict with in the fake flat earth. And so what we're going to be going through tonight is what we did is we documented everything. That is our motto. We stick to it. And the reason why we're able to do a hangout like tonight is because of the fact that we've documented everything. We've got the screenshots. We've downloaded and recorded the videos. We've turned them into videos where we've put all the clips together so that as you watch it, all the information has been documented there. Now, there are so many people that have come into plain earth in the last 7 years where they were not around for any of this. So if you've come into plain earth within the last couple of years, you probably have no clue that I was on Glowbusters. You probably have no clue that, where all of this began from. But the thing is we did document it for the purpose of what we're doing is we're paying attention to liars and deceivers. And when we spot them, we show what they're saying and we put it out there and document it for all to see and witness. So what's happened is now that Bob's passed, there's a group of people that are all saying Bob was a hero. Bob was, the greatest thing that ever happened to plain
Legend,
earth.
right?
A legend. And all these types of things. We've documented now, so this is the real evidence of what took place for all to be able to go through and see what took place before you came on the scene, where you can see what they said, when they said it. It's all very, very well documented. And so we're going to be going through what we documented before. We're going to be sharing it. And so when we tie this into judgment, because judgment decides whether or not you're going to a place of reward or a place of punishment. So we're going to be going into detail as to what things get us into the kingdom, what things ban us from the kingdom. These are the most important things that any human can ever consider. I mean, the fact that we can be alive, we can be in these bodies, and yet we could still be oblivious to the things that will give us eternal life or eternal damnation. It's hard to believe, but we're going to go through and show everybody, if you don't know what the Bible has to say, well, what the promises are for the future, for the righteous and for the wicked, that's the important point of all this. But at the same time, the work that we put into documenting what Bob did is so that come Judgment Day, all right, when he stands before the throne and somebody says, does anybody have any accusations to lay against this person? We're going to say, check out this live stream right here, because what we did is we compiled all this information. It's in there. And look at the fact that we went through this with Bob for 7 years. And see how he reacted, how he... did he change? There's a lot of things. We don't want to make any false accusations towards Bob. One of the things that, as we're going through this information tonight about what gets you into heaven, what gets you into hell, what is going to be judgment against you, Ronnie and I, we've looked at all this information, and it puts us in a super, like we have to be on a razor's wire where we don't do something that's going to condemn us. All right, so what we're doing right here is showing truth. We are showing documented facts. The conclusion that you come to once we show you what Bob's done, what he's done for plain earth, and what the scriptures have to say, you can in your head sort of figure out what you think is happening to Bob based on what the scriptures have to say. We're not here to condemn him. We don't have the power to condemn him. We are here to show everybody what the scriptures have to say. And if there's anything that can be achieved from this, is that we're praying that some of the people that are on Team Satan, which is the Freemasons, the Jesuits, the Knights Templars, all the people that have sworn these secret oaths, is that if you can see the punishments that could be in store for Bob based on things like lying. This is one of the biggest things that's going to catch most people off guard. If you can see these things and you can actually go, whoa, this is too much to risk. This is too much to gamble with. Eternal life and these types of tortures, we're going to go through what the tortures are. It's all in the scriptures. We want people to see what lays ahead so that if we can turn one person away from following down that course, it's worthwhile. And so it's worth risking how people perceive us. We're talking about Bob after he's passed. That's sacrilegious. You can't do that kind of stuff. We're willing to go into this area simply because it's so important for everybody. Now that you're alive, Bob's gone, we get to contemplate what happens at death. Let's go ahead and take this conversation really seriously tonight, everybody. It's probably the most important conversation that can be had.
Okay, yes, well said. So let's start. I'm going to let everybody know how my interactions with Bob Knodel went. Okay, so I was in the first wave of the Flat Earth community in late 2014. Okay, Bob was in the second wave. I was in the Flat Earth community, and Jeranism showed up onto the scene with a channel with 15,000 subscribers. And, he was good for the community in the beginning. It was great. I was on Team Jeranism. Jeranism started doing live tests. He did this laser test. It was a complete failure and a joke, right? Just like everything else that team has done, has been purposely set up to sink Flat Earth and only provide ball Earth evidence. That's all they provided. So Jaron did a test and he started going on and offline. And Bob was the one who came into the chat stream and started saying, Jaron's fine. He's not arrested, because there was all this nonsense that they were running. And Bob was comforting everybody. He was coming in and saying, Jaron's good. Everything's fine. He just doesn't have service. And that's how I met Bob. So then we ended up talking on Skype. So we started having group talks, me, Bob. There was a bunch of characters that were involved. And what ended up happening was, as soon as that I went to these characters and started telling them, hey, there's a problem. The Southern Star Trails do not work on your Flat Earth map. I was starting to tell them that. Instantaneously, I started to get cold shouldered. And throughout the entire time, the more evidence I started bringing forth that the map that they were sharing was wrong and ridiculed with lies, the colder and colder Bob got to me and Jaron. They both started treating me bad. There was a time when I said, I can't wait to be in the kingdom with you guys, to celebrate the victory of the truth that we all found. And it got worse and worse and worse. And it came to the point where they were having everybody on in the Flat Earth community on the Glowbusters, and they were ignoring me. And it's nothing new for me. I've been dealing with this my entire life. So I was used to it. It was fine. Bob and Jaron started cold shouldering me. And then all of a sudden, Jason came along, and I saw an opportunity, right? Because Bob did hint at the fact that he might be into the simulation concept. I threw out in one of the Glowbusters chats, you should have Jason on from Awake Souls. Bob had Jason on, and then from that point forward, Bob vehemently fought against everything that we did and shared, like we were speaking absolute lies. And the only thing that Jason and I ever did was want to find the truth. That's the only thing that we were ever focused on. Nothing that we have ever done hasn't been for the truth. And if we've been wrong, we ask the audience, correct us. So this is how my relationship went with Bob. We were friends. Me and Bob had Skype calls, and there was a whole team of us. Nathan Oakley was a part of around the first wave. There was a group of us. Then Patricia Steer showed up, and Martin Licky, and all these other guys started showing up. And it was okay in the beginning, but as soon as Ronnie started pointing out the fact that the sun is not circling above our heads, there's no evidence of an ice wall, there's no evidence of a dome, I was ostracized from the community. Now, I'm thankful that Jason came along and started to say, hey, this guy's actually fighting for truth. And Jason stood by my side, and it's been almost 8 years now since we've been doing this, and we've documented the entire path. And again, I have no ill will towards Bob. None. Me and Bob, it was about the truth. It wasn't about Bob as a character. I don't know what Bob's like off YouTube. So again, the only thing that I ever knew is as soon as I started showing Bob evidence that the AE map and model was a lie and a complete farce set up by the Flat Earth Society, right? Well, they would just debunk the fact that the Earth wasn't rising up, the pizza model in outer space. They would say everything else is right, though. And I would say, no, Bob, the entire model is wrong. I was ostracized. I was mocked. I was made fun of. They called me nothing but fat, stupid, dumb. They just did nothing but mock me. And to this day, I still would have went on Glowbusters and shared my evidence in a cordial way. I have nothing against any of the characters on the other side of the screen. All I ever cared about was the truth. And that's pretty much my entire history with Bob Knodel.
Yeah, no. So it's important for people to know that Ronnie literally was in that first wave. He was there when Matt Powerland and Eric Dubay were like the only guys. My perspective. Yeah, you've got the few. Cesar was one of the top guys. These guys were the original Flat Earth creators. Yeah, I didn't come along for a while after that, and then I came in through the Eric Dubay side of everything, so I was turned off to the whole Glowbusters and, Pat and that whole crew to begin with. So it's interesting what took place. Now, what we did is we documented all of it. So Ronnie set up the lead up to me going on Glowbusters, and then since that point happened, Bob has literally been one of the people that we've made the most amount of content about, where we've documented what he's said and covered it. And it ended up in Bob leaving the community multiple times, where he got so riled up, he got so upset, just flowing with anger that he couldn't do it anymore, and he had to take breaks. And then so I think twice he got knocked out because of the things that we shared about him, and he sort of worked his way back in at the end, but then, I guess his health is bad, and so he's not with us anymore. Now, one thing I want to point out, this is the last time we're going to be doing this coverage of Bob. We've done this many times before. This is going to be the last time for this. Now, I just want to let everybody know, if somebody else in the plain earth community passes away, a key figure that people know about, especially one that we've covered as far as sharing misinformation, disinformation, being a part of secret societies, all this kind of stuff, we will cover that person in the exact same way that we're covering Bob tonight, and we'll continue this conversation about what happens at death. This is the most important thing. We get to look at people's life choices, we get to see what the scriptures has to say about that, and we get to determine whether or not we want to follow the same course, because this is a serious game that we're playing, everybody. Your eternal life is at stake. So, do you want to get into the content? Should we take a break and then get into the content, or is there anything else that you wanted to go through?
No, I've given my intro story, and like I said, the last thing I'm going to say is I do not know what kind of a dad Bob was, or a friend to the people in his off YouTube life. Tonight is a testimony and a witness to what Bob did on YouTube and on his internet social media interactions. That's it. That's all we're talking about tonight.
That's it. So you can get offended all you want, but just heed this warning as we go through the scriptures that talk about who's going to make it into the kingdom and who's going to go to hell. There's some really important things that you need to pay attention to, as far as, hatred and wanting to harm people and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to recommend that you bridle your tongue, but if you don't want to, go ahead. But everything is being recorded. That's one of the points that we're going to really be banging on a lot tonight. So if that's it, brother, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll see y'all as we get into this content. And we are back. We're doing something a little different tonight, everybody. We're going to stay on screen as we go through this content tonight. And we wanted to do that because we want people to see that we're serious. We're not trying to piss on Bob's grave right now. We want to use this opportunity to get people to really consider what happens at death. We've got people in the chat saying, you don't know who's going where. We're going to read the scriptures that tell us who's going where. And that's what we're using as the authority. This isn't coming from us, right?
Yeah, we're not the judges. We're just here. We're witnessing and sharing with you what we documented for the last 7 years. And it's the last time we have to go through this concerning Bob.
Yeah, exactly. So what I want to do tonight is I want to go through Matthew chapter 5. This is the beginning to the Sermon on the Mount. It should be familiar scripture to most people, and it talks about who makes it into the kingdom. It talks about things that would restrict you from making it to the kingdom. Now, this is not the end-all, be-all explaining everything about who goes and who doesn't go. That's the reason why Sunday night we're going to have to go into a bunch more of this. I just want to show people we're going to be going through some extra canonical scriptures that you may not have read or heard before, but I want you to see that there's a uniform theme that's going through all the scriptures, that everything is congruent with each other. Nothing's out of harmony with each other. And so we're going to start with what people know the best first, right? And that's the Sermon on the Mount. What do you have to say about this Sermon on the Mount, brother?
Well, it was pretty powerful and one of the greatest speeches of all time.
Greatest speeches of all time, absolutely. So the highlighter, I just want to tell everybody that there is sort of a theme that I tried to use, and the green is the blessings for the righteous. The red is the woes for the wicked. And then I've used orange for strong warnings and yellow for let's cover this. And then some of the stuff isn't highlighted so that we can breeze through it. Now, each one of these scriptures, I absolutely recommend that you read the entire thing in context, even though we're going to be sort of sifting through some of the scriptures. Make sure you read the whole thing. But, so it begins here, blessed are the poor in spirit. Now, this very first sentence might trip people up. And then after it, it's pretty easy. But the poor in spirit, it seems like a person would be lacking or something like that. Just want to point out that blessed in this context indicates heavenly spiritual exaltation rather than earthly happiness or prosperity. In Hebrew, poor means both the materially poor and the faithful among Yahweh's people. The poor in spirit are those who have the heart of the poor, the same attitude as the poor, and are totally dependent on Yahweh. This is related to the words of Christ at Matthew, and whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and who humbles himself will be exalted. So this first sentence was a little tricky, but this is about humility, everybody. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see Yahweh. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of Yahweh. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your wealth in heaven. And for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So each one of these attributes, right, the blessing comes as a result of something that was pointed out. So you can see that through these attributes, you're going to start to see that these are the type of people that are going to be saved and protected. Now, there's a warning here, salt and light. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on the stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Now, here we're getting into orange. So here we're talking about the fulfillment of the law. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen, will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commands and teaches others accordingly will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. I mean, it's interesting. It's saying you better surpass the Pharisees and the teachers of the law back in his day, because if you don't surpass them, you're not going to be in the kingdom. Now, murder. So here we're talking about prohibitions and things that are going to keep you out of the kingdom. Murder is the first one that comes up. You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, Raka, is answerable to the court, and anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell. All right, so this right here is where, when I'm reading these scriptures and I'm analyzing myself and where I sit, I'm looking at, okay, I'm calling people fools. I'm calling people these things. Am I in error? Could I be in judgment for these things? Now, if you pay close attention, you're going to see that it's the person that has the truth that's always going to win the argument. So if you call somebody a fool, you better have the truth in the argument. If you call somebody a fool and you're the one that has the lie, the deception, the non-truth, that's when you're in trouble. You have to be standing with the truth to have the proper authority. Therefore, if you're offering your gift at the altar and remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them. Then come and offer your gift. Settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court. Do it while you're still together on the way, or your adversary may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. Truly I tell you, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny. Now, one of the things I want to point out here is that murder, it's not just the act of committing murder that the person's going to be judged for. It's going to be the person that's thought the evil thought in their head. And just like with murder, we're going to have the same thing with adultery now. So you don't actually have to physically commit the sin. So it says, you have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. All right, so here's another case of where you don't actually have to commit the act. You can do it in your mind, and that's an important thing to realize, that not everything has to be acted out that you're going to be judged for. Just the fact that you thought it and contemplated it is going to be brought up. Divorce. So here's where the law is, these are sort of precepts. These, you're going to see that in this section this is the Sermon on the Mount. He's not going into the details, the nitty-gritty of the law, but he's dealing in precepts. With divorce, he says, it has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, makes her the victim of adultery, and anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Now here's an important one, because we're dealing with so many secret society people. I can't prove that Bob was a Freemason or a Jesuit or whatever. Some of the big names in the fake flat earth we know are these things. We know Jaron's a Jesuit. We know Math Powerland was a Jesuit. We know a lot of those. Bob we don't know, but so oaths. This is any secret society. Again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made. But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is Yahawah's throne, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. We have another principle, eye for an eye. You have heard that it was said, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. So we're told to not retaliate, not to look for a fight, not to retaliate, and look for reconciliation where possible. And then the last one, love for enemies. So this is one where here we are in a topic where, is Bob an enemy? Are we fighting Bob still now? Are we breaking this command, love for the enemies? Well, here's the command. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So we see here this wasn't a whole bunch of rules. There's precepts here that should be overarching. We will get into some of the rules later. But I just want everybody to see and understand here that what Christ was talking about is some people get into his kingdom and some people do not. We'll be getting into that detail more so. But at this point, what I'd like to do is sort of get into what it is that we went through, Bob. What do you have to say, brother?
Well, so first, I just want to have a quick cut in. Okay, anybody that's tuning in right now that thinks this is a joke to us, I absolutely really want you to take the time to read the scriptures from the beginning to the end. Don't just paraphrase a book or a quote here and there. Read all of it. And then after you've done that, you'll be better informed as to what we are going through tonight. Okay, this is absolutely not a joke. There's a creator to this reality, and he made sure that he left exactly what he wanted and what the purpose of this life was. So we need to use the scriptures so that people understand the guidelines to the simulation that we're in. Okay, a simulation doesn't create itself. It has a creator, and he left the guidelines for us. Okay, and we have to get into those so that you understand where we come from and why we actually are doing this tonight. So we're not reading this because I'm sure that people out there are ill-informed. They've never taken the time to actually read the scriptures ever. So they're just going to throw accusations at us. But the important thing that everyone needs to understand is there is a reason that we were created. And there's a reason why there's sin. There's a reason why there's murder and death. And there's a reason why all that is going to be eliminated. And if you don't understand that, I really hope that if you're watching this podcast tonight, you reflect onto why you're here, how you got here. If you believe that there's a creator to this reality, I need you to understand that these are the guidelines that he left. That's all I wanted to add.
No, that's good. So one of the things that I'm just going to be continually saying tonight is that the sin that I believe is going to trip up the most amount of people is that of lying. And I'll continue to make the point as we go along here, but I just want to point out what the scripture has to say about liars and how serious this is. So we've got Proverbs 19, it says, a false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will perish. John 8, you are of the father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Revelation, but as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. This scripture right here is what scares me, is that so many people in their heads know, oh, I'm not a murderer, I'm not sexually immoral, I'm not a sorcerer, I'm not an idolater. But then it says, and all liars. So you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are his delight. Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Do not lie to one another, seeing that you have put off the old self with the practices. Faithful witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lies. Outside are the dogs, and the sorcerers, and the sexually immoral, and the murderers, and idolaters, and everyone who loves and practices falsehood. Right? So this, we can just keep going. There's like 100 of these verses, and the message is the same all throughout it, that lies. And this is the problem that we have with Bob. And so I guess we can get into the content now. I just want to show everybody that the way this all began, right, was with a video titled, I am banning Lori of FEC from my channel and want to debate with Bob of Glowbusters. And this video right here is what kicked everything off, and most people haven't seen it, have no idea that any of this took place. But let's go ahead and go through this video here. Go ahead and stop me anytime you want to interject anything, brother.
Conspiracy channel one Sunday ago. Now, I've been yelling my head off that the popular flat earth model with the sun and moon doing circles is impossible, but I hadn't heard anything from any of the major flat earth channels about it until I did this flat earth impromptu chat with Event Skeptic. And then you can see that I got a comment from Glowbusters saying, hi Jason, this was a really great interview, and I still really like your take as applied to simulation theory. I've been thinking for quite a while about how amazing the world around us seems to be custom fit to each and every one of our individual perspectives. The apparent direction and distance of the sun and moon being so fluid and unique to each of us has always amazed me. I would love to have you on Glowbusters sometime to talk about some of the cool things you have revealed, as well as possible other explanations for these optical anomalies. Let me know if you'd be interested. Keep thinking outside the box, man. I love it. Cheers, Bob. And I responded, I would love to be on the show. Just let me know when. Thanks for watching, Jason. So this comment here, hi Jason, okay, the when is next Sunday, December 11th. This came in actually after I heard on Glowbusters that I was going to be the guest, and then I got this comment. So I actually heard about it while listening live. It was actually the first time I ever listened to a live show of Glowbusters. I think it was actually the first show I ever listened to Glowbusters ever, and I heard that I was going to be a guest on it. So I was a guest. And I want to show you something. So here's the Glowbuster YouTube page. And right here is the show that I just did recently with them. Now, towards the end of this show, the show was hacked, or people have called it being sniped. And the Morgile and myself were booted from the Hangout. Now, it turns out that the Morgile was able to return, but I was not able to return. I tried my hardest to get back into the show. I had sent a Skype request to Bob before the show, but it wasn't accepted, and I didn't have a way to return to the show. Now, when you take a look at this page, there's just one thing that stands out, and they've got this dopey look of me, and everything else has like a cover photo to it, but they did leave this dopey look of me up here as opposed to everything else. So after the Glowbusters show, Lori of Flat Earth Conspiracy, which is probably the largest channel that speaks out against the popular flat earth model and the sun and moon doing circles. This channel has been against that model for a long time. She reached out to Ronnie of Events Skeptic and asked if he could make a connection so that I could be a guest on Flat Earth Conspiracy. So we set it up, and we had that hangout this last Sunday. But right after the show was over, Lori took down or made private that show. And I'm going to explain to you why she did. Now, I would let you hear right from the horse's mouth what Lori has to say as far as the reason why she took down the hangout that we did. But I'm not going to, because typically their show is set to Creative Commons. This one's set to standard YouTube license. And I know that they'll try to throw a strike if I use any of this. But the first 5 minutes of this reposted is the Earth flat because it's a simulation. Has the explanation for why she chose to make the video private. And in it, she suggests that Ronnie is a shill working for the Glowbusters.
What do you think of that, brother?
The good news is that the video is not gone. So I was prepared this time after having been on Glowbusters, and I had multiple people recording the show live. And I actually bowed out of the hangout a little bit early so that the moment it was over, I could begin downloading it. Now, in the process of downloading it and double checking, I did find that she had already made it private. But once the download was initiated, I was able to capture the whole thing. So this is the whole presentation that we did, and I recommend that you watch this to see how this hangout that we had compromised the integrity of the channel. Why would she make it private? It's here, watch it, it's all great information. But she didn't want this information out there. Now, before going on Lori's show on the Flat Earth Conspiracy channel, I already knew that she had backstabbed a group of researchers, the Sun and Moon Research Group. I knew that she had played Ronnie from Event Skeptic on her channel. He had been a guest, and she set him up and used him against the Glowbusters. So I already thought very poorly of this individual. Now, if you take a look at the channel, this new video that she put up, with 882 views, 6,800 subscribers, their channel does not post the thumbs up, thumbs down. That's hidden. That is very suspect to me. They've got one comment here. For a channel this size that took down a hangout, there's no count here for the thumbs up, thumbs down. There's something definitely wrong here. And
all right, so I'm pointing out the digit ratio, and so after we went through this, Lori did take off, but this was posted winter solstice of 2016.
So yeah, Lori quit. Lori and Lawrence basically quit doing flat earth related content after this. And the reason I believe that they took it down was because we brought forth the stereographic projection of reality. And as soon as Jason showed it, Lori got a call in the hangout. I believe you have it on your channel still, right?
Yeah, it is up.
So people can watch. And as soon as she got that call, you could tell that was it. She wanted to end the podcast, right? It was an interesting experience. To say that.
Yeah, that was what set it all off. There's more setup to the narrative coming here.
And I am unsubscribing from this channel. Now, I'm also going to ban Lori from my channel. But before I do, I'd like to be fair. One of the first comments that I got on the video, the one that I managed to be able to save, was from Toward the Light. And he said, when you look at Lori's hands and notice her ring fingers are longer than her index, then you start to have a jungle surfer moment. Because, and this word must be misspelled, is just out of place, in my opinion. All the royals are this way. Everyone deserves to know that they are everywhere. They gatekeep at all the doors. Now, Lori must not have realized that I have ad hominem attack words and curse words blacklisted on my channel, because Lori's response was held for review. And so before I ban you, just like everybody to know that Lori says she was born a female.
That's what she said.
I think you're a despicable person, Lori. And you are now banned.
Bye-bye.
It was so dramatic
Lori
back
made
then.
our hangout private, and she redid
So here's
the show,
Bob.
calling Ronnie and
Bob
I
made it in.
Glowbuster shills. Bob of Glowbusters has accepted my Skype request. And so I just got these messages yesterday. It says, hey Jason, I saw the FEC took down the video of your show and then accused you and Ronnie of being Glowbuster shills. Laugh out loud. Lori's right about one thing though. Your map is nearly identical
Call
to
me a
Cammy's
shill.
map. Cammy has since refined it many times and it is even better now, but I think you'll be quite interested in it. We would like to talk to you to elaborate on how our map came to be, so let's hook up again. In the meantime, I will link you to a finished version of Cammy's 1.0 map that Jaren had. Talk soon. And here's that map right there. It says, note, we are on version 7.0 now, which is still on trace paper. So in this video that Jaren did, Flat Earth Conspiracy Channel and their Pac-Man nonsense, where he went about mocking and ridiculing these people, including Ronnie, which makes me sick to my stomach, you made a comment, Bob. Let's check it out. So Lawrence had made a comment, and you responded, and you say, yes, Free Energy has done some great 3D packages for the Pac-Man model. Too bad you guys are too stupid to do any 3D animations. I guess you will have to just stick to plagiarized Free Energy 3D models. Well,
Guess what, everybody? Over the course of the last 7 years, we've done a lot of 3D modeling. We're doing a bunch.
We're sitting in one right now as we're live streaming. We're in a 3D model. But no, this is again, now we're starting to see the contents of Bob Knodel's heart. So he was mocking Lori and Lawrence because they were against the AE Mappa model. The same thing I was. I was here for the truth. I can't say the same for those two characters. But Bob was telling them, so I knew Free Energy was, again, he was one of the first wave. We don't even know if it was a guy or a girl. He never came on camera. He was a faceless channel that promoted a square Earth map with straight lines everywhere. It didn't work in reality. Jason tried to model it out. But Bob was coming in and trying to throw them under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. Ronnie and I are working with Blender. We are doing 3D models. And that is how we go about understanding and realizing that the map that we are working with is correct. So I'd like to see, instead of you having your map on sketch paper, I'd like to see how it would work in a 3D animation. So I do not claim to be a 3D animation expert. Ronnie doesn't claim to be one. But we are learning how to use this program. And really, there's nothing that we can't learn how to do. If there's somebody out there that has the skills already that would like to help us, to help speed up the process, I would greatly appreciate that. I do want to talk to you, Bob, but this time on completely different terms. Last time, I was on your show, and it was 3 against 1. Everything that I wanted to bring up, tried to bring up, there were 3 to refute it. And then at the end of the show, I got booted off. Then I went on Lori's show and made some excellent points, the points that I want to talk about with you. And it got deleted. So here's what I'm looking for. I don't believe we're on the same team, Bob. I believe that you and Lori are on the same team, and I believe that Ronnie and I are on the same team. So what I'm looking for is actually a true debate. I'm asking for a 2-on.
See, that never happened.
No.
No, he wouldn't.
They say because we made accusations against them, right? That was their excuse.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so I can skip this section. That never happened, but check this out.
Really being a jerk, making this video. Bob was nice. He's invited me back on Glowbusters. And I can go back on there and be 3 against 1 again. And then after I'm on Glowbusters, maybe Okami will have me back and I can be on her show again. Well, I'm actually really, really sick of all the slow play in this game. I believe this is a simulation, and I believe it's being slow played right now. So I want to speed it up. I want to get this game over. If you've got version 7.0 right now, how come you're not showing each and every version on your channel? Why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we studying this? Why aren't we giving our input and making this the correct map very quickly? That is what I'm going to do on my channel. I am going to take everybody's input, feedback, and work together collectively on it. And I'm going to talk to you about it publicly in a 2v2 debate challenge.
Didn't happen.
I want to know things like, what does this mean? In the meantime, I will link you to a finished version of Cammy's 1.0 map that Jaren had. What is this? It says the Future Mapping Company. When you're saying that you have 7 tracings of it, does that mean that you just trace this map 7 times?
Yeah, I mean, from the Future Mapping Company, right?
Well, so nothing ever came from Glowbusters, ever. They never provided any more after this. There was no maps. There was no evidence. This right here was their attempt, in my opinion, to shoehorn or to hide or get away from the fact that Earth does have a stereographic map. That's how we can project it in an overall macro scale. And this was their advent. This is what they brought forth as evidence to the shape of our reality. And it's an absurd joke. It was even worse than the AE map that they were trying to provide.
Well, the
fight for.
The thing that's really crazy is look at what they've got with Antarctica here.
Yeah, it's
right?
Stereographic, east and west.
Yeah. So, Bob, how would you go from one side of the map on here to the other? Wouldn't that be Pac-Man? Wouldn't that be Pac-Man? How can Antarctica be split in two? This is literally the things that the map that we've been sharing with everybody. The things that our map demands. This map demands it the exact same way. So how could he mock us if his map required the exact same things, right?
So this is a more distorted version of the map that we presented, right? They're similar, but this one here is like a clown-looking alien-shaped thing. And we tried to project this to a sphere and tried to make it work in the 3D modeling programs, and it failed. It failed miserably. It's not accurate in any way. And we were sharing that with Bob. And again, we were getting nothing back in return except for, Ronnie's a fat loser and Jason's a dumb idiot. Ronnie's going to stab him in the back. Clown shoes. All we ever got was just mocked and ridiculed. And, this was around the point where all of a sudden Bob decided to censor our names. They wouldn't even speak our names. And the whole entire Flat Earth community continued to just ignore and hide everything that we had done.
Well, you bring up a good point. Here's a name that some people will recognize. Matt Long. So I didn't know who Matt Long was when I put out this video, but he commented on it. This goes all the way back to 2016, everybody. He says, mic drop, if you get blackballed because of this, it's a sign that you are moving in the right direction. Keep on, brother. So blackballing is something that the Freemasons do. Being blackballed, we were blackballed. He knew that we were
Freemasons. Right? Because then we would have been on the same agenda as the Freemason teams, promoting the domed ice wall pizza map in outer space.
Yep. So then after this video here, Bob responded, and I had to take a screenshot and publish this. So all this is a screenshot that got published. And so I'm going to have to read it here. But so what happened was I put that video up and Bob responded, wow, Jason, Yes, I for one think you are being an ass for coming out like this and acting like I did something wrong to you. I invited you on our show with the honest intent to talk simulation theory with you, and I really thought the discussion went quite well until Tim Osmond. All right, so we have a Tim Osmond that showed up in the chat tonight. There's two Tim Osmonds. We want everybody to understand that one of them's Infinite Plane Society, and the other one is the one that interacted with, he's the one that sniped us, and he's the one that trolled.
IPS is the penguin character, and Tim Osmond was the character that lived in the same neighborhood as Bob and Cammy Knodel.
Who we've theorized is Bob's son, and we may have hit, that might have been, ooh, you sank my battleship.
And one thing to point out here, right? So Bob had you on, they ridiculed, mocked you, talked over you, and then booted you out of the hangout, trying to make you look like a fool, posting you up on the thumbnail. And what they did was when Jason was live, they just put his camera full screen and left it. They had never done any of these types of moves. And then Bob comes out so you guys can see the content and character of his heart. He comes out nothing more than the tiny hat agenda here, throwing the accusation like he was some ways trying to be good and kind to Jason, when all he did was mock Jason, put him full screen, put a dumb look on his face on the thumbnail, and they just ridiculed him and talked over him the entire time. And where is that hangout now?
They took it down.
Oh, they took it down, huh? And not only that, they took it down. So again, you're going to see the same character that comes from Bob that you're going to get from all the tiny hat, all the Jesuits, all the people that live in the occupied state of Palestine. They have the same MO, the same narrative. You're going to see it time and time again. This is what they do. They strike you and then they say, stop hitting me. Stop hitting me. You're so mean. How dare you? As they punch you and put you in chains, they say, take these chains off me. And it's a joke. And again, we're going to get more and more deep into this type of action as we move forward tonight.
Yeah, so this was, the first time I'm going through all this, and I was smart enough to take screenshots. But if you have the Glowbusters hangout, I didn't download it, and I wasn't expecting them to just take all their content down the way they did.
Well, yeah, he was doing it. He let you on. He was trying to help you to get your message out, right? That's what he's saying here.
So why the hostility? I was perfectly cordial to you, and now here you are insinuating that I had something to do with Tim Osmond copying the hangout address from our screen share and then booting you. FYI.
You know what a liar does? A liar will always give you extra information to validate the lie. Bob's got to go into extra detail, right? Look at what he gave you the exact way that he booted you out, right? They played a clip of Tim Osmond speaking as they were booting you out. It was ridiculous. And the only reason I interrupted is because I was on the Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Matrix Decode fought Patricia Steer to get me on because none of these people wanted anything to do with me because I was Christian, first off. I believed in the creator of the Christ. And I was the first one to get sniped. So this wasn't new. And it was Mark Sargent who was actually doing the sniping. So I don't know if Mark taught Tim or if they were all just working together for YouTube.
Next, you start complaining that I left some sort of goofy picture of you as the thumbnail on purpose. First of all, this was the default thumbnail, and I never thought it would be a vanity problem for you, so I just left it. Jaron is the one that changes things into custom icons, but only does that occasionally, so I never change thumbnails, and I never will.
Every podcast, they have a specific thumbnail, but that one. Again, more lies.
Now, I thought what Lori did to your show was pretty effed up, but it isn't my fault that your map just happened to look very similar to Cammy's FE map that she was making. That is Lori's problem, not ours. Next, why haven't we released every revision of Cammy's map to the public? First of all, because it is Cammy's map, not the public's, and we will release what we want, when we want, and until then, it's not your or anyone else's business. We have released previews of the map several times on our show as we have worked on it, but you just admitted that you had only watched one show of ours, so what gives you the right to bitch about what you think we have not shared? At least Lawrence and Laurie knew about it, which is more than I can say about you. FYI, that invitation to see the latest revision and history of Cammy's map I sent you on Skype was the real deal, Jason. We were going to share everything with you, and Cammy was excited to share her work with you, until you made this asinine video demanding things from us. You will find that people's demands carry little weight with us, and you have just shown your true colors, sir. I was more than prepared to not only have you back on Glowbusters, but I was also going to suggest we do a hangout on your channel. But you never answered my Skype. Instead, you made this accusatory hit piece when all I was trying to do was be nice. Looks like you're going to have to ban me also, Jason, because I'm done with you. You have a lot of effing nerve coming off like this and trying to make me out like some kind of bad guy. Good luck with Ronnie. You two will make a great team. Well, actually, Bob, you're right. We actually have.
You got that one right. Hang on. Give Bob a bell ringer.
So my response to him was, your comment ended up being held for review, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I have screenshots. And you know what happened? He deleted his comment. And then tried to act like I deleted it. And so there's one thing that you got to pay attention to, everybody here. Everything that we're doing is we're getting the screenshots. We're recording, downloading, getting this content to show people what took place. We're the ones documenting it. They're the ones that are always trying to hide it. That's a problem.
You're going to see that continuing tonight.
Yeah, so
we've got about between 5 to 10 minutes before our next break scheduled.
All right, so this next one is Bob's satanic rant. Do you want to take a break now before it, or
we'll do the break? We'll do the rant first, then the break, and then are we going to get into the things that Glowbusters promoted for Satan? Is that after this? I think it is.
Yeah, after this. So
yeah, correct.
This right here is the satanic rant. Then we've got more context that we can add to this. That this is our last time going through it. We want to show everybody everything that we got recorded on this. And so some of this has been in videos people have seen. Other of this, I know chances are you haven't seen this because it's just buried in beyond flat earth and people haven't seen it. So this video right here it's just 13 minutes long. Let's check it out. What?
Okay, I was thinking it was a different video. Sorry, let's go ahead with it.
So here is a little bit of research done by Globe Earth shill troll Schmick, who had been a longtime troll of mine and makes the occasional hit piece against me. He apparently paid to have access to FE Core to see if there were any test results published for the experiment that Bob Knodel of Glowbusters says proved that they were measuring 15 degrees of rotation per hour, of which that statement made it into the mockumentary Behind the Curve. Let's check it out.
A $12,000 gyroscope, and Rick bought this gyroscope with his own money, okay? And it was Rick that did these tests, and Rick is a member of FE Core, okay? So all of these tests were public in our, not public, but they were in our FE Core Skype group, okay? And, we discussed it for, quite some time. So when I told Daniel about it, when he was here interviewing me for the movie, I said, well, he was very interested in the...
You catch that? Interviewing me for the movie?
Oh, I caught it.
Okay.
Experiment. And I said, well, okay. So I told him about it. I said, and if you listen to this in the movie, guys, you will hear me say that another person did these tests, not me. That is the most unbelievable thing. I can't even believe that Vegan Warrior went off on that because it's complete.
Let's see if we can find these fiber optic gyroscope tests on the FE Core website. Test results.
Can we get a pause? So Battery asked, what was FE Core? I believe it stood for Field Engineers. It was a group of it was a 501c3 organization that Bob, Rick Hummer, and a bunch of other absolute shills created, right? And they were supposedly going to prove the earth was flat and prove all this, and we covered all of it. We covered every step of it, but we weren't obviously paying members, because why would we go and support things that we knew were lies? They never came out with any evidence, nothing. The only thing that they ever provided was globe earth, or what is it, concave earth proof. They did measurements in, was it Denver? and they said that the Earth was actually concave. So that was the field engineers core, and they were trying to make it like it was a flat Earth group. Nothing ever came from it. It was just a big psyop and a joke and a way for them to use a 501c3. It wasn't even hidden. They were open about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all in this clip right here. You'll see. So we didn't pay for it, but the Schmick did. So he's doing the screen record. Yeah, the Schmick.
Laser, force level, microwave, mechanical gyro, which is pending, which is not the fibre optic. Aries, not there. Mechanical gyro, force level, long distance, transmission, laser, Aries failure. There's a fibre optic gyro test. They're going to do a mechanical gyroscope. Why wouldn't they use a more advanced, more precise method of the fibre optic gyroscope? Desire for truth is a powerful motivator. Failure. Multi-stage balloon. Force level. Mechanical gyroscope.
501c3.
501c3. $150 a year.
Yeah.
50 a year. 25. Fucking scam.
Pay us tax-free for nothing.
Nope. No fibre optic gyro.
Now, any true Christian knows that all a person has to do to be a Satanist is to be a liar and a deceiver. Bob Knodel is a liar. He is lying about measuring 15 degrees of rotation. He lied about being a commercial pilot. In fact, just about everything that comes out of Bob's mouth is a lie. Bob has a problem with me calling him a Satanist, but I am a Christian that believes in the Bible being the truth given to us by the Creator of this world. John 8:44 says,
Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it.
The Bible could not be more clear that the father of any... I just want to point out to everybody, Bob said he was a commercial pilot. We've got the real documentation that he was a private pilot, so everything that he was saying was a lie. Any liar or deceiver is the devil. You are a Satanist if you are a liar or deceiver. But Bob goes way beyond just being a liar or deceiver. Check out this hangout that the Limitless channel and myself did right after Bob said this on Glowbusters.
I'm happy to say that mainstream science is very, very much, going along with that type of idea, which of course gives you some really fascinating prospects.
Let me ask you one thing, Bob. When you say something like that, do you think that there's a potential for a pedophile to take what you're saying and better explain to themselves why it's okay what they're doing? That's the problem I have with what was just said. That I think that if the world took over that viewpoint, then you can kiss off anybody stopping doing what they want to do. I mean, these pedophiles obviously want to subject children to extreme pain, anguish. In their mind, it might be pleasure, whatever, I don't know. But I'm talking about in the rapist's mind. So when we say like the world is an illusion and it's just a ride and you're just along for the fun and you just get to see colors, don't you think that kind of thinking would lead the world into a dark place?
I see your point. And first of all, Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, but what I also want to say that is, if it is true that we, before we incarnate into this world, that we are choosing specific experiences that we want to have, then that kind of shines a different light on it. And I am in no way advocating pedophilia, but let's say hypothetically that soul has gone through all the incarnations, living a utopian lifestyle. Everything is great. Everything is full of love. And supposing this soul wants to experience what it would be like to be, stabbed in an alley, or to.
All right. So I just want to point out here that he's not just talking about pedophilia and rape and stuff like this. He's talking about murder and all these things. If a soul wants to experience these types of things, that's what he's talking about. It's not just pedophilia.
So hold on. So this is the problem that we run into when people are not versed in the scriptures. They start to attribute things that the fallen angels and their descendants have done to mankind because they hated man right from Adam. Okay. They try to attribute those things to NPCs or some kind of karmic justice, right? They come up, they have to make these ad hoc accusations that have no proof or evidence for any of it. And what it does is justifies wickedness. It allows it to be justified. When you understand the scriptures, it makes it plain and obvious exactly why we have to go through what we are and why people have to suffer the way that they do.
Experience extreme fear, or even being molested as a child. I mean, that is something that I think that is likely determined, before incarnation. Now, a lot of people will say,
"What on earth happened?"
So, what Bob was alluding to was that someone who's taken the ayahuasca or smoked, maybe a children's DMT pineal gland secretion, and they've been shown that predestination of someone's soul has chosen to become a pedophilia victim.
Yeah, and so they've chosen that, so it's okay for you to do that, because this everybody wanted to experience what they're going to experience, and it's okay.
Well, maybe in the last life that rapist victim was wealthy.
Yeah. Karma, we definitely some sort of karma thing going on. Everybody's going to get what they deserve, right?
Well, for me, one of the other things that really touches home is the fact that Sherry and Chris Gio over at Truth Frequency Radio are also promoting the simulation theory, and Bob as well, calling it the source. I guess I'll let you comment, and then I'll play another clip.
Yeah, well, he's sort of co-opting the source. They're going to try to demonize all these words that we want to use. They asked me to come on Glowbusters is because I've been saying this is a simulation, and I've been saying it for a while. And Bob wanted to do a show about simulation theory, and so I go on there, and he knew very well that I was an anti-AE flat earther, and I knew the flaws in it, and I wanted to share it, and I got my opportunity to show it a little bit. But supposedly he believes that this is a simulation, and I wanted to talk about that, and then I end up being kicked out of the hangout, and they called it some sort of sniping. That whole sniping thing where I was sniped by Tim Osmond, they bring up this character all the time who's obviously part of their team, works with them. They reference him so much. So
without a doubt.
So the whole sniping thing, so the episode on Glowbusters was supposed to be about simulation. That's what I wanted to talk about. I've been having to battle against these guys, and now all of a sudden it's a simulation, and because it's a simulation, we've got children that have most likely wanted to experience pedophilia, and so it's just part of the game, right?
And there's basically do what thou wilt. The simulation runs on your own intuition. I guess I'm going to go back into into a clip here because your comment right there was just beautiful. So I'm gonna play another clip. And again, anyone who is educating or using their own opinion is falling under the guidelines of fair use. So I'm gonna hit play again, Jay. I want to keep this.
I'm gonna hit mute.
It means a lot to me.
Say, oh, that's just ridiculous because children don't have that choice. And I'm saying that if they did have that choice, it was made before incarnation, and it was also made, there could be something in that experience that allows them to grow in certain ways. And please, people, do not think that I am advocating this at all. I am simply saying that not every soul is going to incarnate with the intention of having a strictly blissful experience. Okay, that would be my answer.
I want to.
These are more. Let me chime in real quick. These are more esoteric gnosis topics and philosophies that is very hard for people to digest. But I agree with what Bob said. I've seen this kind of stuff. I've asked why there is this darkness in the construct we live in, and they said, look, this is the way that karma is situated. This is what these souls came back to experience. I've seen it. I don't talk about it because as Bob said, a lot of people will take it the wrong way, but I'm just making an observation on the construct when I say it.
Truth Frequency Radio is run by Chris and Sherry Geo. Chris is a spin-off of The Alex Jones Show and is a super Satanist. Look at the content promoted by TFR. Does anyone see the problem with Mark Sargent, Jeranism, Rob Skiba, and Zen Garcia all having shows on this network? Bob, you are a liar and a Satanist. And I'm not going to let you get away with saying that 15 degrees of rotation per hour were measured in a hit piece against Flat Earth and continue to act as a spokesperson for Flat Earth. I am going to lead a revolution against your presence in Flat Earth, and I'm going to get you thrown out. Alright, so I just want to say we've been trying to get him thrown out this last 7 years. He did get knocked out of being live on YouTube a couple of times during that time period, and now the battle's over. But done.
I mean, he wasn't really doing much anyways anymore. They never did anything with any of their content after the Behind the Curve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that right there was the satanic rant. When we come back from break, we're going to be getting into Behind the Curve. So that was...
The Earth is spinning at one rotation every 24 hours. That means that every hour has to turn...
This right here is what did a lot of damage to the thing that we've been working to share with everybody so hard. All right. So, do you want to take a break, brother? And then when we get back, we'll get into that?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. And we are back. Got to remember the microphone there. So the next thing I think we want to get into is, so we heard the satanic rant, and now we want to talk about behind the curve. This was a big thing. So Ronnie and I had, we knew that behind the curve was coming. We didn't know what it was going to be called, but we saw Mark and Pat talking about this. The Daniel guy.
You were in it.
I was in it.
I was supposed to be, but I hadn't made it down to Texas in time. You went to the Flat Earth meetup to question Patricia Steer, and they tried to mock you again because you went on there and you told everybody that when you started to learn the truth and speak the truth, you were ostracized by your family. And they put that clip in the documentary. So you did, but you didn't get paid, right? Like everybody else got their pay. You didn't get anything, not even a mention, right?
Yeah. So I want to point out to everybody this behind the curve. This really did some massive damage. The star of it, of course, was Mark Sargent. He's the 33 guy. He's called the King of Flat Earth. This is this is behind the curve. The IMDb for it. Notice that you got Scott Kelly playing himself as a former astronaut. You've got Nathan Thompson, the evangelist, right? You've got Patricia Steer, the interviewer. You've got Bob Knodel, the engineer.
Engineer, right? Huh? In the lab coat, right? Prove the Earth is spinning at 15 degrees, right? We're going to get into it.
Yeah, notice that Math Powerland, ODD, Jaron Campanella, these characters are all way down the list right here. So Bob's high on the credits as the engineer. So let's see what Bob has actually done for Flat Earth. This right here is a compilation video that we've done that so what it does is it takes a whole bunch of things that we've been accumulating over the years. It assembles it together in one package where you can see all the documented stuff. So we'll start this out here, and stop me anywhere you want, brother. But yeah, so it was December 1st, 2021, that Bob's talking to his audience for not knowing the true source of the data behind the 15 degrees per hour rotation Bob claims to have verified himself. And we're going to have some clips from Bob.
It's right up there with, gee, didn't Glowbusters prove 15 degrees per hour? It's like, wow, no.
I think that was the original, wasn't it, Bob? It was the original. Thanks, Bob. They called it Aries failure. It was just, you're too stupid, you're too lazy, you're too dumb to go and look at the actual experiment. You're just going to read the title, Aries failure. So he obviously failed. Therefore, we live on a spinning ball.
Yep, exactly. And that's, that's what happened. These people.
Aries failed to detect movement of the Earth. He didn't fail to detect that the Earth was flat. They flip everything, this team.
Yeah, and listen to the hate and disdain that is within Bob's voice coming up here.
And lastly, the theory of relativity had to be born because of Aries' failure. Aries failed to detect that the Earth was moving, and he detected that it was the sky rotating around us as the observer. And then Einstein came out and said that's because everything's relative. Everything's moving relative to everything else so that nothing appears or can be detected to move. Now, I don't know how they're misrepresenting it, but that's the truth.
They have no reasoning capabilities. They're just part of a gang of imbeciles, frankly, that they cannot think for themselves. And, I don't even have a problem calling them that, because as long as so many of these people have been in this, it is just willful ignorance to not, have heard all the facts that we have presented, seen the data that we have.
Heard the facts, seen the data. Now, so this right here is being presented that there's no facts that have been shared and no data that's been shared. That's what we're establishing here.
Nothing. It was all private, just like Bob's map. It was the exact same. Bob never changed. He did. Who do I have to tell you? We would ask, hey, could you show us the evidence, man? We're trying to find it. Bob would say, well, how dare you ask us for the evidence? We'll put it out when we want to, right? We'll get to Bob finally admitting it. And again, the same thing that these shows always do, the same thing the Jesuits do, the same thing the Tiny Hats do, the exact same MO is that there's always somebody else that does it. But Bob was the guy who represented it. He brought it forth in the documentary, was hot mic'd. It was his evidence, but it wasn't his evidence, right? They always have a scapegoat.
Represented. I released that data. I don't know if you knew that or not, Chris, but I released that data. And lo and behold, the Globers couldn't say much about it other than, oh, Bob was just lying about it all anyway. It's like, tell me one thing I lied about, Globers. One thing. You say that.
One thing that Bob lied about. That we're going to be establishing a lot of big lies tonight, everybody.
I was trying to cover things up in that movie because I said, wow, if we release this information now, it wouldn't look good for the flat earth. Why would I say that? Well, maybe because we didn't know what the source of that 15 degree per rotation was, but
that's
we
a lie.
Pretty.
They made the disinformation up themselves. It was a flat out lie. He just lied on top of a lie.
Yeah, it's going to get bad. Wait until we get to the spreadsheet data.
Convinced, that it was something other than the rotation of the Earth, because there's nothing else that backs that up. And then once we came up with a conclusion, with an experiment that proved it conclusively, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that it was not the rotation of the Earth, then you didn't want to accept that. Then all of a sudden, I'm lying about it, right? And again, like I said, Michelson Gale did the same thing over 100 years ago, and you guys, if you had any brains at all, you'd be pointing to that, trying to claim that there's your scientific evidence, but you won't, because you know where that's going to take you.
So both were interferometer experiments, and both were reported to confirm the expected rotation of a spinning Earth. So Bob is literally the modern-day Michelson Gale, right?
That was his theory. That's what he was trying to promote.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to put you into a logical fallacy, and you're going to get annihilated by Michelson Morley. Period.
Well, didn't you make a video on the altitude, latitude with the fog gyroscope? There was
fog with the fog gyroscope. And
in bismuth, right? Encased in some kind of rainbow rock.
Yeah, this fog gyroscope is nonsense, and now it's going to be Yappy Town. Watch this.
Is it Yappy? Yeah, Yappy Town was asking where he can find a video of that or evidence on that.
Yappy Town?
Bob acts like he doesn't know who he is.
Where can the latitude/ether experiment be seen on or read about? You did a video on it, didn't it?
It was actually put out on. I released the video and all the data on Ranty's old channel called Brandon's, right? So I was.
Come on, everybody! He released the information. Yeah, so Brandon or Rand, this guy, we were able to predict long before he did it that he was going to flip. He was one of the people that said he was a flat earther that flipped to being a globe earther.
Open Freemason too. Openly Freemasonic. Open.
I was on there, and I was catching a lot of crap from flat earthers because we had just gotten into the COVID crap and everything was shut down. We weren't really getting much done in the way of experimentation because
you can see that this is all Bob Knodel on the ranty Flat Earth Roundtable. And remember, this is the guy that was a total traitor and said that it's a globe.
Benedict Arnold. He completely flipped on everybody in the FE community, all of the people that were supposedly friends with him. He came out and said, you were all wrong. And everything Ranty did was try to create falsified evidence to prove that he lived on a globe. The exact same thing that Bob and Jaron have done the entire time. And lo and behold, we documented all of it.
Here it is.
Because everything was being completely shut down, yada, yada, yada. But that data I made available then, and I have no problem with making it available again, but I made not only the data available, but I also made the decoder that from the corporate software that the fiber optic gyro came with.
So he's got a decoder ring, just like.
But it's not his. He didn't do the experiment, nor is any of the equipment his. But listen to the way that he's talking.
And just wait here.
To interpret the data, I made that available so that they could look at it in the spreadsheet form and figure out.
Look at it in the spreadsheet form. So he handed a spreadsheet to somebody, looked at it, and look at what he has to say here.
Exactly what it was talking about. Well, lo and behold, they didn't know what to think of that because it said exactly what I said it did.
The spreadsheet that he made said what he said it said, right?
Yeah, we give him a bell ringer.
Yeah, no, all it is a spreadsheet, just made up numbers by Bob, and that's it. It said what he said he said.
And what I said it did is that when we made a testing variance of 10,000 foot in elevation over that same latitude, it showed a very dramatic change in rotational rate.
A very dramatic change in rotational rate. So Bob is saying that the sun rotates at different speeds based on elevation. All right, we've never seen a different rotation rate of the sun anywhere. It's 15 degrees per hour. Like it's
everywhere recorded by everyone on the face of the earth.
And now he's saying that at different altitudes, there's different rotational rates. So that, if you're at the top of a mountain, you're at the bottom of the mountain, the sun, moon, and stars are rotating at different speeds. That's what they're saying. And then this guy that he's talking to about all this, he actually drove to like Kansas or something to verify this. Listen to the joke.
Cannot happen on a ball, period. All right?
Yeah, and we didn't do it just once. We did it in 2 different locations.
Oh, twice.
Guanella Pass and Pikes Peak.
Yeah, and I think the Pikes Peak one, I drove almost to the Kansas border to find the latitude there. And it dropped 10,000 feet.
Yeah, I know. You went way out there. And yeah, Chris did that one by himself, but yeah,
no documentation.
I figured, we kept talking about, when we get to that point, we'll elaborate on it. And I still want to get into the fiber optic gyro. Unfortunately, Seventh Day Truth Seeker, his channel got shut down. He's gone away. Nobody can get a hold of him. I don't know what happened to him, honestly.
So the good news is that we did capture what was on Seventh Day Truth Seekers. This is captured. Another one of the document everythings. That information is in the DSP 1760, the Holy Hand Grenade.
But that was his fiber optic gyro. We did not spend any donation money. He paid for that all by himself. He spent I think it was like 14 grand. I thought it was 20 at first, but it was like 14 or 15,000 that he.
You were off by a lot, Bob.
You made a mistake, right?
Yeah. We did have something arranged at one point in FE Core where we were going to get to demo the newest super duper highest resolution.
Super duper highest.
Laser interferometer from a company that was, starting to sell them.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Just want everybody to understand this, okay? Every single laser pherometer and gyroscope measuring devices have to work off the principle that when they're placed on the plane of the Earth, it starts off of a fixed position. Okay? The gyroscope, if it was to pick up drift, would not work. So the whole entire supposition that Bob tried to shoehorn into ball earth proof was flawed right from the start. The types of equipment that Bob is discussing were mounted on things like cranes that needed positioning to be done very accurately. Cranes, other types of devices that take into calculations moving. Okay, if the gyro or interferometers picked up drift, they wouldn't be able to calculate the distance that device moved. It's very basic, and the entire thing was nothing but an absolute joke right from the start. And it was used in a documentary. Bob keeps calling it a movie, right? It was a mockumentary made to ruin flat Earth after they put all of the dismiss and malinformation videos that did nothing but debunk the stupid pancake AE map New World Order pizza model. Every single one of them was put to the top of the search algorithms. Everybody that was sharing anything other than that map was completely censored. Then they came out to finish it off. The final nail in the flat Earth coffin was the documentary that Bob was used to prove. They mocked Bob and Jaron. Jaron proved curvature. He had a guy hold a flashlight. Jaron said, "I can't see it." You see the guy turn the flashlight on, and he's holding it above his head. So they proved that there was curvature in that one when no one else in the realm has ever been able to do that. And Bob's evidence was to support that he detected 15 degrees per hour of rotation. And I want to make sure everybody understands that the device that Bob is discussing about had to start off of a fixed, non-rotating position to actually calculate accurate data. It's just plain and simple.
It is.
Then I don't know what happened with that. Well, what happened with that is COVID is what happened with that. I mean, that is really
COVID
screwed up.
Ruined us.
And yes, so the data has been shared. It's out there. I will share it again. And like I said, I have no problem doing that because there's nothing to hide here. And it's amazing to see the reactions of it. Oh, you're just lying. It's like, yeah, right. I went through or Chris, right? Chris, you probably did it, right? You went through and changed all those hundreds of entries, right?
I was gonna. You still don't have that yet. I've got it backed up. I've still got it on my laptop.
Yeah, no, I've got it. I've got it right here on this machine. I've also got it on a Google Drive.
So I don't know if everybody remembers Tim the Troll. He used this sign right here. This is one of the Timothy Osmonds. The other one's the Infinite Plane System. But this is the one that lived in Denver right by Bob and was at the Behind the Curve meetup where Bob did his hot mic situation, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this was a picture to a video, a thumbnail that Tim Osmond did, where he's calling out Bob and his little secrets with the DSP 1760.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think that's Cumby too in the thumbnail as well. John Cumby, who's long gone.
That is Cumby. Bob sitting with his globe. He's sitting on the sofa with his globe for the Behind the Curve. This is bad stuff. This ring laser gyro sinks the whole ship for them, everybody.
We have the holy hanger.
So we don't need to go through the cinematography that I had in this video. Let's go ahead and jump to 10:37. Trying to save some time. I had fun making this, but yeah, go watch it if you want.
Tiny bit.
And it was made so. The DSP 1760 is the holy hand grenade that will blow to bits the occult mystery school religion of heliocentrism, which is simply modern-day Pythagoreanism packaged and delivered through the world through secret societies such as the Jesuits, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, Knights Templars, etc., 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 and the Freemason AE map model, otherwise known as the Flying Pancake. You know, the model that has a dome and ice wall around the outer edge? The Freemason AE map model can be identified or distinguished by having just one polar point in the sun and moon doing circles. The AE map and model were made popular by the Flat Earth Society, and whether or not it is flying upward, floating in space, or sitting at rest on an infinite plane, it makes no difference. Any model that has a single polar rotation with the sun, moon, and stars doing circles around it
has been thoroughly debunked as impossible. Bob Knodel of Glowbusters is one of those Freemason AE map model pushing fake flat earthers, and stars in the Flat Earth mockumentary Behind the Curve, where he states on camera,
If the Earth is spinning at one rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. In today's 21st century navigation systems, they're using what's called a ring laser gyroscope. It is extremely precise. One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000. But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15 degree per hour drift.
After the mockumentary Behind the Curve went mainstream with its release on Netflix, Amazon Prime, iTunes, and YouTube, Ronnie Harris of the Limitless channel and myself confronted Bob Knodel on Bro Sanchez's live stream, and the one thing I wanted to know most from Bob is, where is your evidence? Because I do not believe for 1 second that Bob Knodel was the first person in the history of humanity to measure 15 degrees of rotation per hour. Here is what he had to say.
And I gotta
see, that's a big thing, everybody. You know, if you are a person that actually tries to defend flat Earth, if you get into debate with people and you say the big lines, you say there's no curvature and you say there's no proof of rotation, guess what? The globe earthers will all say, Bob Knodel, one of your own flat earthers, proved Earth rotates, and Jeranism proved that there's curvature.
And what is the best way to defeat your enemy, Jason?
To sabotage from the inside, to have a...
To lead the opposition yourself. It's the oldest trick in the book.
tell you, Brother Sanchez, I see we've got
and
awake souls in the...
I want to point something out. This was well after Bob, this was years after Bob said that the AE mappa model was wrong. And you saw Cammy's 1.0 version that he would not share the rest of the versions with us. How dare we ask for it? Look at the icon that Bob's using. Years after denouncing so-called, when he was held to account, why are you still promoting this? He would say, well, you know, it's the closest thing that we can have to wake people up. Meanwhile, every single because me and Jason debunked this 100,000 ways from Sunday. There's videos of us going through 30, 40, 50 different AE map model debunks. He still continued to promote this map and model.
Mm-hmm. The Limitless channel out here.
Oh, don't run, Bob. Let's hang it. Let's not first start throwing stones. Let's be calm.
I am not going to even debate with these two clowns. They are the biggest clowns on flat Earth, and if they remain on the panel, I'm out of here. All right? Okay. It's as simple as that. I will not talk to these two idiots. They are the biggest idiots on the flat Earth.
I think that's
period.
Not, come on.
Hold up. You're a jackass, Ronnie. Take a
That's
hike.
a lie.
Hey, Bob, you're going to get exposed.
Yeah.
It's true. Everything that we said, we shared was true.
All right, Brother Sanchez, I've said my piece. You go ahead and have your shill show here.
Wow, Bob, that's just...
Hey, well, listen.
See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Well, listen, appreciate... hold on, guys. Let me say something to the audience. To everybody in the audience, and including Bob, thank y'all. Yeah, thank you, Bob, for coming through.
Let's skip ahead just a little bit.
But I'm not going to go against Glowbusters or go with the shilling calling no more. After watching
Hey,
it.
bro. Mm-hmm. Brother Sanchez, okay, I'm back. I'll talk to these idiots for a few minutes. But you know what? I don't like these two. And the reason I don't like them is because everybody is a Satanist to them. They think that they are God's chosen people. They're complete morons. And why I'm even debating these idiots.
He was calling us tiny hats. I don't know, Jason. Have you ever wore a tiny hat? I've never wore a tiny hat. There's no kippas in my closet. I ain't no God chosen people. That was hilarious. Well, he uses their defenses, right?
And he continually tried to say that we're idiots, yet he couldn't step into a debate ring with us. He was terrified to actually go into a debate against us.
He ran.
Hey, we just want to ask some questions.
All right, so ask some questions. Let's have it, Ronnie.
Well, go ahead, Jay. You start it off. I'll give you the first. You're the older.
Well, I wanted to talk about something else. Just ask him the questions.
Okay, well, my first question is, where's the evidence of the experiment that Rick did? It's Rick Hummer, right? So we can be clear on who
No,
did
it's
what.
not Rick Hummer.
Who is it?
You guys are typical of people that don't freaking listen. I just got done saying about a dozen times it was Rick Zimmerman from the Seventh Day Truth Seeker channel. But you guys, of course, will twist it into your own clown verbiage. You guys are unreal.
No. We don't put up anything without evidence.
Where's the evidence I'm a Satanist, Ronnie?
Okay, well, who cares about who's a Satanist? Is there evidence
you
for
do.
the
Otherwise,
15
we wouldn't be
degrees?
talking about it, clown.
Anybody who... Am I about to say it? The term Satanist means adversary to the truth. That's it. You don't have to kill babies and drink their blood to be a Satanist. Okay, Jason and I were the ones who came out and started sharing it loud and clear that anybody out here lying is an adversary to the truth. And the word Satan means adversary. That was it. I think I might say it.
Yeah, we've done it in videos. We've covered it so many times. He acted like he was too dense to hear the explanation.
He wanted to be the victim.
Who is against the creator, I call a Satanist. Anybody. You don't have to be killing babies, Bob. That's not what we're saying you're doing.
Yeah, well, I'm not against the creator. In fact, I acknowledge the creator, and I'm not a Satanist, but you're an idiot.
Okay, but where's the evidence?
Creator being the God of the Bible? Is that what you acknowledge?
Would you screw this? This is not about a religious discussion.
That's so funny. I ask him which creator are you talking about here? Screw this. We're not talking about that.
Do you remember what David Weiss said when he was held down to the same question?
It was almost exactly the same reaction.
Yeah, David Weiss said, go f*** yourself, right? He got really mad.
What the hell do you want to ask me, you clowns?
Where's your evidence? We want to see the video. We want to see the documentation.
Of
If you are the
what?
only person in the world to ever record this 15 degrees of movement, where is the evidence?
All right, first of all, clown shoe.
So before you get Bob's answer, I want everybody to understand this was after the documentary came out, and there was no video or any documentation of the actual experiment. Nothing had been produced yet. Jason and I went on to this podcast so that we could get it. We wanted to see what Bob was in the movie claiming, and we wanted to, skeptically go over it. That's what we do. We look at everything, and we go over it, and we stick with what actually works, and we get rid of all the things that don't. That's what we've done since day one.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did I have to tell you I was not the one that recorded the evidence?
So why would that get into
No, I didn't do it. I didn't do
a documentary, Bob, on Netflix? Explain
because
that
I
to
am
everybody.
I am reporting what was said, what was experimented, and the results by someone else
with no evidence.
You idiots with no evidence.
Who would ever
I
provide
have all
evidence?
the evidence. I have all the evidence.
Let's see it.
It's simply not public right now.
Do you see how this looks on you, Bob? There's a lot of people
how it
watching
looks right now. I don't give a shit how it looks.
Let's go ahead and skip ahead one more time. What happened to you wanting to know more about being in a simulation? Don't you remember when you invited me on the Glowbusters hangout?
And I also remember that you after Tim Osmond sniped it, you accused me of hiring him to come on and do it. You're an idiot, Jason.
No,
again, tiny hat move, scapegoating to some troll that Bob hired, or could have been his actual son. We don't know. We just put forth what we document as evidence. And it's funny, again, the scapegoat. Right? It wasn't me, but it was on Bob's show that he allowed this to happen. And they mocked Jason the entire time. But he's out here playing the victim. I want people to understand the same thing you get when you expose this, you get the exact same narrative coming out of Bob Knodel.
Tim works as a fake COINTEL operative.
Well, he don't work for me, pal.
It was staged, Bob. Come on, we're not stupid.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
You know how to run your hangouts. I was the first one to get sniped off of Patricia Steer's hangout, if we want to have the record straight. But we finally got you on. So the 15-degree rotation is the largest thing that's going on right now in the flat Earth, ball Earth debate. They're saying that Bob's proved that the Earth is spinning, and your only answer
Bob's
is
proof.
That
you proof. Why do you keep saying that, clown?
Because you are the spokesperson. You are the one that gets credit for it.
Well, I don't want the credit for it, and I also gave the proper credit for who did it in the documentary. Can't you guys accept that?
Yeah, but how could measuring a gyroscope on the ground prove the sky's moving?
Oh my God!
I want to know how they got the hot mic.
Hang on. Everybody wanted to blow past that. Okay, listen, when you fix something to the ground, like Bob did, or to a lazy Susan then spun it, you cannot detect anything in the sky moving. Okay, that was my first question, and of course everyone's going to blow past it, but I want the person in the audience tonight that's skeptically listening to the evidence as to why we needed to go over this. I want you to understand that a liar and a deceiver will not come right out and give you any evidence. They'll give you lots of supporting evidence to their lie, but they won't actually be held down and come out with the true evidence. If Bob was claiming that he detected 15 degrees of drift, but it wasn't the Earth, even though the device he was using was supposedly fastened to the Earth. He didn't fasten the mount or anything like that. It was just on a lazy Susan that they were spinning. But again, why would Bob be claiming that he was detecting the rotation of the sky if he wasn't floating a balloon up in the sky, moving around in the air? Right? That was my question.
And a good one.
Let's talk about the gyroscope, really. Can a gyroscope measure the movement of the sky, of the ether? I guess that's what you want to ask, right?
Yes, and it's called the Sagnac effect. And
I use spinning lasers all the time to build buildings, Bob. They've never moved 15 degrees in an hour, ever.
It's not a laser, you idiot. It is an interference pattern from an interferometer, but you obviously don't even know what that is.
Then there was the meetup that you had with the hot mic.
Again, attack the question guy, right? Mock the guy asking the question. Call him an idiot. Again, I've never seen so much tiny hat propaganda from one individual other than Bob. He's the leader. Bob does more tiny hat disinformation than David Tiny Hat Weiss.
That's a big claim.
Hey, everybody's seen it by now.
Yeah.
Did you know you were Mike?
Hey, Bob. Hold on. Hey, Bob. Hey, Bob.
Okay, hold on. Pause. Now I brought up the fact that Bob was in the documentary and it was supposedly a hot mic. So he was saying that if my evidence gets out, this is going to be really bad for the flat earth community. That's what Bob was saying. Like that wasn't a completely scripted false narrative to support your fake claim that you supposedly measured the rotation of the sky with a device fixed to the earth, right? It was just an absolute ridiculous claim that now we have him supposedly, they were zoomed in from across a flat earth meetup that they created to support the evidence that Bob was bringing forth, because there's no evidence that you live on a moving, rotating ball. There's none, zero. The only evidence that you're going to find is Jaron and Bob, and it's the weakest evidence in the realm.
I did not say. I said, look. I said that if this got out right now, it would look bad for flat Earth, and yet not even 5 days later, I released that information on Glowbusters in detail.
That never happened. See, it never happened. We're covering that.
We went to those videos. He said they were in the description box. We went to every single Glowbuster. We watched the Glowbusters. We documented all of their podcasts. Look, we're going over the evidence that we documented to this moment in 2023, Friday, April 14th at 10:02. There was no evidence. They finally did release the video, and we'll probably be getting to that soon.
Yeah, I think that's next. No viable explanation for Bob being hot mic saying if this information got out right now, it would be really bad for flat Earth. There is no way to explain that away.
Brother Sanchez, this
I have
is
another
really
question.
Bob,
we're not attacking you. My other
oh,
question
the hell you're not. Oh, why is Amazon doing this? Like
So
anybody who's out the truth would
pause it. When you bring forth evidence for a claim and somebody questions you on it, you're not being attacked. Again, that is the complete narrative that the Jesuits formulated for the tiny hat occupied state of Palestine. I'm going to continue to say this over and over again because it's obvious, right? And I had already been dealing with that type of dismal and misinformation for years, right? And so what Bob is doing again is playing the victim, right? Bob is no victim. Bob was in a documentary supposedly proving that Earth rotated 50. You know how many millions and millions of people watched that documentary? That literally they were in the after screening and people were saying, that's it, I'm not a flat earther anymore. Bob proved it, that the Earth is round or spinning, and his buddy Jaron proved that there's curvature. right? And both tests were an absolute joke. Jaron had a guy that was supposedly 3 miles away with a flashlight. Jaron said, okay, turn the flashlight on. And they waited. There was no flashlight. Jaron says, hold it above your head, because at 3 miles, your 8 inches should be hidden. So when he held as soon as he turned the flashlight on, we could see it. And Jaron was like, And that's the way the documentary ended. Jason and I had spent 5 years fighting tooth and nail to prove the truth of this reality. It was something we were beyond passionate about and still are, and we were being treated as if we were attacking somebody who had gone and completely ruined the chance for the majority of the population saw that documentary, and that was it, right? We were all retards because Bob Knodel proved that the earth was rotating, and Jaronism from Jaronism.com proved that the earth was curved. And both tests were a joke. We even called it out before the documentary was released, what they were doing. We covered it every single step of the way, and we still have to cover it tonight. Some of this stuff is absolutely disgusting to me. I don't want to relive this. I am beyond thankful that this is the last time that we're going to have to bring this up. I am thankful. And people in the chat and people that are watching this in the future, I prayed for Bob. I've prayed for Jaron. I've begged the creator to please allow them to turn to the truth. Allow them to help support us because they had positions of supposed power. They had the community. They had us completely blackballed and censored. I prayed that there would be a change in them, that we would have a chance to have this type of a cordial conversation with these men, and it never happened. And this is the reason why we're here live right now tonight, having to put the final end to this topic. We don't want to run Bob's name through the garbage, but what we're doing is we're promoting and showing the documenting, witnessing of the truth. Because people are now going around deifying Bob, saying that he's a legend and a hero. So everything that Bob did is now going to be heralded as some kind of huge truth, when in reality, the truth of the situation is that Bob and Jaron and the entire Glowbusters and the FE Core community, all they ever did was try to lead the opposition to the ball earth and sink it by proving that there's curvature and that there's rotation, which they never did, nor did they ever have any proof of it.
Nailed it.
We could answer all these questions and they wouldn't have to throw
I have answered every question.
I'm not here to fight. I just want a good chance to ask you. So,
all right, ask your question.
Being on mainstream television, promoting Glowbusters, how has that helped your channel? And what do you think you've done positively for the flat earth?
I have never promoted Glowbusters on mainstream television. I defy you to find one instance that I have.
Look at the CBC clip that you did. There was a whole
That's right. And who was it? That was the reporter.
Listen to how quick he was caught lying right there. He just went on to state that he never went on TV and promoted. And then I said, what about the CBC clip? And that one there. But, so every single thing that Bob did, he was called on. Every single thing.
Yeah, there's coming up. There's a straight contradiction coming up here.
Glowbusters that promoted Glowbusters. I didn't say a word. Once again, you're a clown shoe, Ronnie.
All I'm saying is
anybody
that makes it on the media is working for the beast system. I don't know how you deny that.
Oh well, good, man. Anybody work? I'm not working for the media. Clown shoe.
You're on the media.
You spent a whole bunch of time talking about all the articles that you've been in.
Yes, that's right. Does that make you
just contradicted yourself
system?
Completely?
Oh my God. You guys are.
That was a full contradiction.
So it was
big deal.
That was a full contradiction.
Big deal.
I was a huge.
So we get a full contradiction out of Bob, where he's like, big deal. So a full contradiction is a lie. You're saying something that's in direct opposition to something you're supporting. It's a full contradiction. It's a lie. Big deal. So when we get through all this stuff, we're going to be going through who's going to heaven, who's going to hell, and what, how does that all work? And so pay attention, everybody.
Doesn't make me part of that. That does not make me part of that system. Anybody that's ever, so you're saying anybody that has ever been on the news or has ever talked on the news or anything, they're all part of the beast system and now they're Satanists?
So everybody that makes it on television, everybody that makes it on the radio, everybody that makes it in movies, they are all sworn secret society people. They are Freemasons, Jesuits, Knights Templars. One of the secret societies, nobody, unless if you're just a in a news clip off in the background. But if you've got a speaking part, if you're heard, you are part of the beast system. Absolutely, 100% across the board. No exceptions.
That is your logic, isn't it? You guys are morons.
All you have to do is a Google search result for flat Earth, and
so what?
You're going to see that you are part of the AstroTurfed results. You are on a team.
Did I do that? Did I do that? Do I control the Google search results? Do I control the YouTube search results? No. YouTube is the one that is putting up the crap as the first search results. Mostly, and they put us at the end of it, mostly because Glowbusters is and always has been about flat Earth truth.
That's an absolute lie. All the channels that are promoted by Google YouTube are the Freemason, AE map and model pushing channels.
And that is a fact.
You guys are still talking about first year NASA stuff, Bob. It's been 3 years. I'm surprised that you're
Can I get a pause?
Haven't.
If you can tune in, if you believe it or not, Jeranism is still watching spacewalks and NASA stuff and going over the exact same content. It's been 7 years now. They're still watching NASA.
But now he's adding commentary to the spacewalks.
No, they always did. Don't you remember? We covered it. It was hell.
Yeah, they just watch the ISS live feed, and that's fun for them, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they try to mock it, but what they're doing is, if anybody knows anything about predictive programming, all you have to do is show an image and put it in somebody's face, and that subtly mind controls them. Just like Math Powerland, right? All he did was go around with a t-shirt on it with a globe on it.
That's
right?
it.
He said he painted it, but what he was doing was a CIA operative move, a Tavistock engineered predictive programming, where they were still promoting and putting the propaganda from cradle till grave. They put that stupid spinning diorama thing above your heads of the universe solar system. The flat earth movement continued to do the fake flat earth movement continued to do the same thing over and over again.
Demanded new material.
You know what? Are you going to sit here and talk about what Glowbusters does and doesn't cover? I don't care what you think.
What is your end goal? What are you moving towards now, Bob, with the Glowbusters channel? What are your goals this year in 2019, please?
Debunking NASA and proving flat Earth, like it's
NASA's been debunked for 3 years, man. This is what I'm.
What are you guys? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing, Ronnie?
Well, we went beyond
calling everybody in the community Satanist. Is that what you do? Wow,
no, that's not just what we do.
We woke people up to the fact that the AE map and model is impossible. That was a big task.
Oh, God.
I still have the bell. It's the same bell. I still have it. We're still
that was
going.
an epic moment. That was a truly epic moment.
I was
Now, you all remember that Bob said that the test results were not public yet, and that it was Seventh-day Truth Seeker that had the results, right?
Okay, well, my first question is, where's the evidence of the experiment that Rick did? It's Rick Hummer, right? So we can be clear on who did what.
No, it's not Rick Hummer.
Wasn't Dick Hummer, huh?
You know, you guys are typical of people that don't freaking listen. I just got done saying about a dozen times it was Rick Zimmerman from the Seventh-day Truth Seeker channel. But you guys, of course, will twist it into your own clown verbiage.
So not Dick Hummer,
said
Dick
that on
Zimmer,
Bro
right?
Sanchez's live stream on.
I just want to document that. Not Dick Hummer, Dick Zimmer. All right. So how many dicks do they have? And what's the next? I guess they're at the Z's now, right?
February 16th, 2019, and we had to wait until March 23rd to see a video published on Seventh-day Truth Seeker's channel titled Fiber Optic Gyro Test 322 2019. I find these dates interesting because anyone that follows the Limitless channel and myself know that 322 or March 22nd, 2019 was a date that we were looking towards for evidence that we are about to enter the Great Tribulation talked about in the Bible. Yeah, we're always watching those dates because of the big deal that the Freemasons make about them. They use those dates all the time. Hangout that we have been watching, published March 27th, 2019, titled Glowbusters, Evidence of 15 Degrees of Rotation per Hour Made Me Cry Laughing, exposes the evidence provided by Seventh-day Truth Seeker is so fraudulent that it's not funny. It's sickening. The idea that anyone would accept this proof of rotation is so disturbing to me that it actually makes me question the nature of all other entities on Earth besides one other individual. That individual is Ronnie Harris of the Limitless. So far, we are the only ones that have called Bob out for having faked this rotation. Nobody else has stepped up. And it's so simple, everybody. Watch. It's so simple. This channel. He not only helped produce all these clips you have been watching, but after this hangout, he confronted Nathan Oakley, who has been playing the part of fake opposition to Bob Knodel of Glowbusters, showing him the obvious evidence that Bob's gyroscopic experiment that supposedly reported 15 degrees of rotation had been faked in the most ridiculous of manners. And this is what Nathan Oakley had to say.
So what have you got to say for yourself, Ronnie? Why have you joined?
So I got to ask you, brother, you did fantastic in this, but so the whole point of putting this in here was that Nathan Oakley just absolutely brushed past the evidence that the ring laser gyro was being turned on a lunch tray. And all that.
Go ahead. You didn't ask the question yet.
Yeah, well, I'm. There's the two calls. Do you want to go through those, or should we jump those?
So what ended up happening? You might want to play a bit of it, but
yeah, we got to
necessarily have to. So what it was is that Nathan Oakley was continuing to give the same evidence that Bob did. So what Bob said was, yeah, sure, I proved that the sky is rotating or that the earth is rotating, but you can't prove it in any other experiments. So the only thing that Nathan would say was, I can debunk it through proving the two axes of rotation doesn't exist, right? So they needed to prove. So their defense against Bob was that if Bob's test was real, what they're saying that it was, but because a helicopter can take off and the earth doesn't spin under it, that therefore nullified Bob's experiment. Nathan wouldn't actually look at the specifics of the test that Bob did. He just simply wanted to state, well, because a helicopter takes off and the earth doesn't spin under it, therefore nothing that Bob did mattered. That was all. And Bob was the one who set forth that disinformation already. It was already their controlled opposition tactic.
Yeah, and so I just want people to see what you see playing in the background. This is footage from the video from Seventh Day True Seeker.
I had it on the screen because nobody would share it.
Yeah, so this footage right here literally shows that the ring laser gyro is being rotated on a lunch tray next to a piece of paper with an arrow pointing north. And then there's the screen running back in the background. But if you actually watch this footage here, you will see that it's rotating.
Well, so their defense was the stationary one here on the left was picking up the drift, and then when they rotated it, it was picking up more drift, right? When these are just cropped, added in numbers to their video of them literally rotating it at 50 degrees per hour.
Did you see the jumps here? Watch the jumps.
It's not even fastened. This thing's not even bolted down to anything.
Watch the jumps here. They show it all the way around. And then the slow rotation here. I mean, this is so infuriating that they literally sat there rotating this thing on a lunch tray. And this is supposed to be the proof. So we've got guys like Dan in the chat tonight that keep on saying that Bob proved 15 degrees of rotation. Well, we're here to show everybody that the way Bob did it is by rotating the ring laser gyro on a lunch tray where it's not fastened. And this video right here is the proof. All that work that we went through is to hunt this down and to show everybody what Bob's proof of the rotation was.
Well, the truth of it is after we had that interview on Bro Sanchez, they probably faked all this and actually made this footage and then released it because it came much after the documentary. Everything before that was like everything else that you got on the Glowbusters channel. They were all thought experiments. like Newton and gravity. All they did was the continuation of the Sagnac false experiment. There was no evidence for any of it, except for the Michelson model. You can tilt a beaker of water, and you can measure the fact that the sky is actually moving and not the earth. You can, by the drift and the way that the light bounces through the water. Now, nothing else that anyone did had any actual evidence to it except for this test.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and play some of this. I want everybody to hear. So here you are talking to Nathan Oakley, trying to get somebody to rally to the fact that this whole thing that Bob had done with the rotating gyro, getting somebody to acknowledge it, somebody to stand up.
Just acknowledge it,
Yeah.
How the idea that it's the Earth rotating underneath gets debunked by you, as that's what I've done.
Because this is literally moving, not the Earth, Nathan.
Yeah, you don't seem to want to listen. This is not the first time this has been done. This is not a new example.
Let's go back just a hair here.
And it literally is in this video.
Proves that the Earth is rotating underneath. This is not the first time this has been used to make this assertion. Far from it.
Well, any measuring device that's fastened or fixed to the Earth and is detecting a rotation would then prove that the device that the unit is sitting on is rotating. And it literally is. In this video, they're literally rotating this interferometer, therefore nullifying the fact that it could be anything to do with the Earth's movement. And on top of that, Bob Knodel and the entire team are promoting that this is the ethereal movement.
Sorry, I don't want to hear about what they're promoting. I just
He doesn't want to talk about that.
No.
That it was the sky that Bob said this was measuring. Right?
The idea that it's the Earth rotating underneath gets debunked by you, as that's what I've done.
Because this is literally moving, not the Earth, Nathan.
Yeah, you don't seem to want to listen. This is not the first time this has been done. This is not a new example.
This is the first time anyone's put a Lazy Susan on a table, stuck an interferometer gyro on it.
Oh, really?
This is the first time.
Oh, really?
And they're trying to claim
So you've looked into the Michelson-Morley principle that's being.
Was that like 80 years ago? They didn't have an interferometer like this then. They had some mirrors and another type of a laser. And when you look into that, there's no actual evidence to that experiment either. It was all fake. All of it. Nathan is promoting a thought experiment.
So that's not done on a Lazy Susan then?
They didn't have Lazy Susans, no.
They didn't spin the test to get the interference, to get the diffraction.
All that evidence is in the graphic, a drawing,
Sorry,
cartoon.
all that's
There's
happening
no
here,
actual
Ronnie,
images of a test.
Ronnie, all
It's
that's
a
happening
cartoon.
is you demonstrating that you don't know how
No,
to deep.
you're the one who's
I haven't finished my
demonstrating
sentence,
that you
Ronnie.
don't do
Just
any
try and calm down.
experiment.
Try and calm down, Ronnie.
So can you
Don't-
pause
No,
it?
you're
Ronnie.
The main reason I was so upset is because this was the channel that says they skeptically look at scientific evidence. Him and this nonsense fake Christian named QE Earth or whatever his name was, they for hours and hours on end, they scrupulously go through supposed scientific evidence. And I asked them over and over again, why is it that you're not putting Bob's test on the screen and breaking it down piece by piece through your scientific method that they have done? They did this for years. They did this for years, and I got nothing but crickets.
Yeah. Do you think anybody would have noticed that it was actually rotating? The housing was rotating, unmounted on a lunch tray. Hopefully, they would have picked up on it.
Ronnie, try and calm down.
That person, I'm truly sorry for you.
Well, they're going to say, well, we had to spin it, and then we had to minus the counter effect because we're trying to mimic the Sagnac effect, right?
They can't say they had to spin it.
We had to spin it to tell you that the Earth is spinning. That's okay.
The sky is spinning.
Right, this is where the video goes after that. And who else have we seen playing this video?
Bob.
Glowbusters.
Because this right here is supposedly your AE map model, Freemason, Jesuit, disinformation agents. They need the ether now to somehow keep Bob Knodel from hanging for what he did.
It's going to be really bad for Flat Earth when this gets out.
They really need the ether right now. And so this is nothing but a mind F that
it's all relative.
Has a whole bunch of disinformation in it and mind experiments, but not the actual
cartoons.
not the actual proof or evidence.
No experiment, no video, no footage, no measurements, no compasses, no calculators, no volt amperages hooked up to anything, no scientific equipment whatsoever in any of this video, except for the gyro that they're spinning.
Well, and it makes itself the false dialectic to the Einsteinian relativity. So it's also, once again, only two arguments. It's either Einstein, that nutcase, was right, or the ether exists. But anybody that's gonna fall for that stupid false dialectic right there, wow, pity be on you. Pity, pity, pity. And so this right here is nothing but nonsense, disinformation.
That's how Nathan. Hang on, pause it.
Yeah.
So this is the experiment that Nathan Oakley was trying to fight back against me for showing that Bob's experiment, that they were the experiment skeptics. This was Nathan Oakley created this Flat Earth debate channel where they specifically dedicated their podcasts to debunking experiments. They wouldn't look at Bob's experiment, and his defense was the Sanyak experiment. And look what we get. You get drawings, right? Cartoons with a bunch of nonsense mumbo jumbo attached to it. There's no evidence here, right? But they want to all attack me. You'll see the common thread. I'm an idiot. I'm a clown shoe. I'm a retard. I don't understand this. You don't know what an interferometer. And like all I might not be the smartest guy in the world. I might not have the best IQ. I might make mistakes when I read, but I'll tell you one thing. I've always been able to call out a magician for his trick, and I'm still to this very second recognizing patterns and calling them out. That's what I do. That's who I am. I'm a pattern recognizer, and that's what I was born to do, and I'm going to continue to do it. And none of their words ever hurt me. All they actually did was prop me up.
Points. All right, that whole Sanyak effect, that is the principle that the optical gyro runs off of. As you twist, if you were to come back here, and this unit is mounted to something, bolted down, and you give it a twist, because of the Sanyak effect, it is going to measure the difference in the amount of time that it takes for the light to go from a reflector back. It will measure that, and it will give you a result. It'll tell you how fast it moved and how much. All right, but that has no relation to an ether whatsoever. And the correlation between the two is only made by the satanic disinformation agents that promote the AE mappa model. And so that is a huge part of this video. I mean, here's your evidence part, right? You get to see the unit rotating even though it has no means of locomotion.
No, that's the Earth moving, bro.
That's the Earth moving?
Yes.
Then why is the housing moving?
No, it's the
Why
sky
is the
moving.
housing moving? I don't know.
That's the sky moving, not the Earth, right? That's what they were claiming.
The ether must be attached to the housing, and as the ether turns, it's turning the housing. That's the only... That's got to be that way, right?
All that's being demonstrated is that you don't know how to debunk the assertion that's made using this principle, not this test, this principle that's being employed. And I want you to either concede that you don't know how to debunk it, which is precisely what I have done, or I'll tell you how to debunk it without you interrupting, hopefully.
Yeah, tell me, please.
No problem.
All right, so he goes on and he does the thought experiment, and he does debunk it without ever addressing the fact that Bob was physically rotating the ring laser gyro. So props to Nathan for being able to use a mind experiment, but why not just take a look at the rotating ring laser gyro on the lunch tray, right?
Do you remember how many mid-tros we've gone through? I
think we've done... we've got two more. Should we do one now?
Two more mid-tros and an outro. Yeah, I think it's about time.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll see you in just a few minutes, everyone.
Felt like flying.
And we are back. We have Dan in the chat that's been saying stuff about measuring distances. And he acts like somehow plain earthers can't measure distances. You need to watch the Stereographic Virtual Reality Explained and understand that as long as you give us a latitude and a longitude anywhere on Earth and a latitude and a longitude anywhere on Earth, we can tell you the exact distance between those two locations. So we can measure the distance of the United States with lat and longitude. We can measure the distance from the United States to another location with lat and longitude. And sorry that wreck your day, but it's very easy for us. We've been doing it for a long time. All right. You there, brother? All right, so let's go ahead and.
Sorry, I was doing a flip. I was doing a show for him to keep him entertained.
All right. Yeah, I had one of my screens here froze up on me, so I was just checking to make sure everything was all right. So let's go ahead and keep going on this. And once this video is done here, then we are going to go through the biblical scriptures as to who's going to. What do the righteous receive? What is their inheritance? Who gets into the kingdom? What happens to the wicked people? What are the things that the wicked people end up in hell for? All those types of things. We'll be getting into that information soon, everybody. So let's just finish this up.
So if the assertion is that the gyroscope, which is in a fixed reference frame, is displaying a 15-degree deviation.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and
skip this was the wrong clip.
the rest of Nathan here.
Running damage control for Bob. Because a helicopter doesn't have the Earth move under it, therefore I debunked Bob's experiment. No, debunk Bob's experiment with Bob's experiment, Nathan. I'll say it again.
Why, you may ask? Because as soon as a person acknowledges that Bob Knodel used stupidly faked evidence to say that 15 degrees of rotation per hour were measured in the mockumentary Behind the Curve, it becomes obvious that Bob and everyone involved in the mockumentary were actively producing PSYOP propaganda. When all the connections are made, the entire Freemason AE map model, Flying Pancake, Flat Earth Society, Enclosed World with Antarctica as its outside perimeter and the sun and moon doing circles around a single polar point, that whole group gets outed as a network of Freemasons, Jesuits, Rosicrucians, Knights Templars, CIA, Mossad, B or lower grade actors, fags, trannies, and pedophiles. Or as I shorten that, Satanists. What's even more shocking is that no globe earther in the world will expose Bob Knodel of Glowbusters for faking his evidence for 15 degrees of rotation being measured per hour. So I just want to point out, everybody, this right here is the other Tim Osmond. We have one of the Tim Osmonds in the chat, and that's the
IPS.
That's the
Penguin.
IPS one.
What do they call it? Fepe, right? The nonsensical transgender penguin.
Yeah, the Tim Osmond that we're referring to here. So just once again, the Fepe Penguin guy is the one that Tim Osmond's self-flat earther as Infinite Plane Society.
Yeah,
So
he's also yoked up in this. Yes, he went in the documentary claiming to be Mak Parhar, right?
Yep.
And Mark Sargent.
Yeah, Mark Sargent. Because it's the only evidence any Glober has for rotation. That's it. That is all the Globers have, and just like I told Bob, Timothy Osmond is a COINTEL operative playing controlled opposition to you, because when I did an image search for the DSP 1760, this video came up from Timothy Osmond showing you and your secret. The video has since been hidden by Tim, but he did the exact same thing as Nathan Oakley did, and only talked about your evidence from a theoretical viewpoint and never addressed that Bob was physically rotating the device. The fact that no globe earther can call out Bob Knodel for his fake evidence of rotation completely exposes the globe deception and destroys it. It does not take a globe earther long to figure out that if they expose Bob as a liar and a fraud, that their only evidence of Earth rotation ever would be thrown out because it was made up by Bob Knodel. The DSP 1760 is the holy hand grenade that destroys the B system. It takes out the Jesuit heliocentrists and the Freemason New World Order AE map modelists with one shot. All you have to do is take it. Take the shot. That's it, everybody. I mean, we've had it on a silver platter for you, just like Bob had the ring laser gyro on a platter. We've had it out there where anybody could have just latched on to this and could have called out the entire fake flat Earth crew. They were behind the curve. They set all this stuff up. It was all fake evidence, and it was all to destroy flat Earth. But we have this group of people out here that continue to promote these people like they were heroes. All right, Bob was a hero. Jaron's a hero. Everybody's going to say that. Well, what we do is document everything, and we show everybody what really happened, and we don't hide it. So that's pretty much it for the Bob information. I think we can sort of wrap it up on Bob, but now I think what we need to do is talk about what gets you into paradise and what gets you into hell. What do you say, brother?
Yeah, and we don't have to talk about this ever again, nor do I want to. And, if anybody wants to go over the information, this link is going to be available. We'll make sure we put it up on multiple platforms where it can't be taken down. And that's it. I'm glad that we were able to finally get through this and finish off. Now, this might be the most important section of our podcast, right? So please don't tune out if you don't believe in the scriptures. I do think that you really want to hear this.
Yeah, so what we have here is 3 different texts. We went through some biblical verses before. We're going to go through these 3 different texts here. We're not going to be able to finish all 3 of them. Sunday night, we're going to finish this discussion. But I want to show you the Apocalypse of Peter is pretty quick. And we've got some stuff highlighted. Remember, the green is the stuff to the people that are righteous. All right, the red's to the people that are wicked. The orange is important things to consider. So we'll take turns reading, but I can give it I can give it a. Well, why don't you go ahead and start? This is.
Do you want me to?
Sure.
Okay, this is at Logan 6. All right. What book are we starting with, please?
This is the Apocalypse of Peter.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure everybody got that. And it starts like this. And as we prayed, suddenly there appeared two men standing before the Lord towards the east, on whom we were not able to look. For there came forth from their countenance a ray as if of the sun, and their raiment was shining, such as an eye of man has never saw. For no mouth is able to express, or heart to conceive the glory with which we endued, and the beauty of their appearance. And as we looked upon them, we were astonished, for their bodies were whiter than any snow and ruddier than any rose. So again, there's a little bit of a difficult in understanding the types of terms. Ruddier is like a reddish complexion, right? And the red thereof was mingled with the white, and I am utterly unable to express their beauty. For their hair was curly and bright, as they seemed both on their face and shoulders, as it were a wreath woven of spikenard, and drivers colored flowers, or like a rainbow in the sky. Such was their seemingliness. You can continue. This is a tough read. You were saying that earlier. It's got some interesting language.
Seeing, therefore, their beauty, we became astounded at them, since they appeared suddenly. And I approached the Lord, and said, Who are these? He saith to me, These are your brethren, the righteous, whose forms ye desired to see. And I said to him, And where are all the righteous ones? And what is the aeon in which they are, and have this glory?
Aeon means age.
Mm-hmm. And the Lord showed me a very great country outside this world, exceedingly bright with light, and the air there lighted with the rays of the sun, and the earth itself blooming with unfading flowers, and full of spices and plants, fair flowering, and incorruptible, and bearing blessed fruit. And so great was the perfume, that it was borne thence even unto us. And the dwellers in that place were clad in the raiment of shining angels, and their raiment was like unto their country, and the angels hovered about them there. And the glory of the dwellers there was equal, and with one voice they sang praises alternately to the Lord Yahawah, rejoicing in that place. The Lord saith to us, This is the place of your high priest, the righteous men.
You want me to read here on 20?
Sure.
And over against that place I saw another, a squarish place, and it was the place of punishment. Or squalid?
Squalid, yeah.
Squalid. Thank you. I want to be corrected when I make mistakes. And those who were punished there, and the punishing angels, had their raiment dark, like the air of the place. And there were certain there hanging by the tongue, and these were the blasphemers of the way of righteousness. And under them lay fire, burning and punishing them. And there was a great lake full of a flaming mire, in which a certain men that pervert righteousness and tormenting angels afflicted them. And there were others also, women hanged by their hair over that mire that bubbled up. And these were they who adorned themselves for adultery, and the men who mingled with them in the defilement of adultery were hanging by the feet and their heads in that mire. And I said, I did not believe that I should come into this place. And I saw the murderers and those who conspired with them cast into a certain strait place, full of evil snakes, and smitten by those beasts, and thus turning to and fro in that punishment. And worms, as it were clouds of darkness, afflicted them. And the souls of the murdered stood and looked upon the punishment of those murderers, and said, O Yahawah, thy judgment is just.
And near that place I saw another strait place, into which the gore and the filth of those who were being punished ran down, and became there as it were a lake. And there sat women, having the gore up to their necks, and over against them sat many children, who were born to them out of due time, crying. And there came forth from them sparks of fire, and smote the women in their eyes. And these were the accursed, who conceived and caused abortion. And other men and women were burning up to the middle, and were cast into a dark place, and were beaten by evil spirits, and their inwards were eaten by restless worms. And these were they who persecuted the righteous and delivered them up. And near those there were again women and men gnawing their own lips, and being punished, and receiving a red-hot iron in their eyes. And these were they who blasphemed and slandered the way of righteousness. And over against these, again, other men and women gnawing their tongues and having flaming fire in their mouths, and these were the false witnesses. And in a certain other place there were pebbles sharper than swords, or any spit, red hot, and women and men in tattered and filthy raiment rolled about on them in punishment. And they were the rich who trusted in their riches, and had no pity for the orphans and widows, and despise the commandment of Yahweh. You want to keep going?
Yes, we're 30. And in another great lake full of pitch and blood and mire bubbling up, there stood men and women up to their knees. And these were the ushers and those who take interest.
Usurers,
like usury, right? Users. And those who take interest on interest. We know some people like that. And other men and women were being hurled down from a great cliff and reached the bottom. And again were driven by those who were set over them to climb up upon the cliff, and thence were then hurled down again, and had no rest from this punishment. And these were they who defiled their bodies, acting as women, and the women who were with them were those who lay with one another as a man with a woman. And alongside of that cliff, there was a place full of much fire. And there stood men who with their own hands had made for themselves carven images instead of Yahweh. And alongside these were other men and women having rods and striking each other and never ceasing from such punishment. And others again near them, women and men burning and turning themselves and roasting. And these were they that leaving the way of Yahweh.
So that was a short book, but we had two things. We had good things for the good, and we had bad things for the wicked, and it's spelled out in these books which things get these punishments.
I mean, if people think that this is a joke, right? The very fact that these books have been preserved and survived are testifying to what the Christ, Yahawashi, he was quoted speaking about this place more than anything else. The worm that never dies, the lake of fire, Sheol, Gehenna, the place where the people that do these wicked things are going to end up. And if Jason and I don't come out here and show you people, we are going to be held accountable, right? This is not a joke, okay? Sure. You know what's funny? Bob and Jaron get to come out here and say all these nasty things about how NPCs are here in the realm so that they could be raped and tortured, and they don't have any understanding of there is actually a penalty for all of this stuff. And there is a way out of it, right? When you accept the salvation of Christ and you actually repent and turn from your wicked ways while you're still with breath of life in you. Once the breath of life leaves your body, you will go to be judged. Jason and I are not the judges. We're not. We're just two witnesses here on earth reading the scriptures and documenting things for the truth. Okay. But these places do exist, because, people think it's funny. Oh yeah, we know the God of this realm, obviously they use the G word because it's a short form for God real, which was the fallen angel that deceived Eve. They know. Okay, they know about this place, but it's the lies and deceptions from people that go around trying to promote that it's okay to do these things. That's why these places were actually created, so that Jason and I don't have to go around with a sword slaying these wicked people, because we know that this is their punishment, nor do we want anybody to end up here. I don't want this. Do you? I don't want anyone to end in any of these punishments. Woe unto that. I don't want to see it. But I will tell you, if you actively fight against the truth, if you mock, put down, ridicule every single person that spoke evil against Jason and I in the chat tonight, we'll stand accountable for that. And we're warning you, while the breath of life is in your body, you should turn from your wicked ways and be careful with every word that you state. If you cast false accusations against anybody fighting for the truth, you will pay for it. You will. And sadly, I do not want to have to stand there and testify against you, just like I'm doing right now against what Bob did. I'm showing it and I'm testifying. I don't know if Bob actually admitted the guilt and prayed to the Father. We know we documented that Jason asked, which creator is it that you serve? You heard his answer. It wasn't the right one.
Mm-hmm. So this next book here is the Gospel of Bartholomew, and this one's a really neat book because Bartholomew is going to be given the opportunity to stand on the neck of Satan and ask Satan a bunch of questions, and so Satan is going to be telling us about who Satan gets to take to hell. Now there's both talk about what happens for the righteous, what happens for the wicked. There's even some doctrinal stuff in this that a lot of people should find interesting because we get some details that we don't get from the 66 canon. One of these things that we're going to see is we're going to get very, very specific as to what the unforgivable sin is. The sin against the Holy Ghost is spelled out explicitly in the scriptures here, where we've sort of guessed and talked about what the sin against the Holy Ghost might be. Well, the answer is here. Right, the answer is here. So we can skip through a bunch of this. Once again, I absolutely recommend you read the entire book to get everything in context. But
Sunday, we're going to go into a deeper study of these topics without bringing up, we don't have to bring up Bob ever again. It's done. The breath of life has left Bob, but it hasn't left you on the other side of the screen. So I cry out with all my heart that you understand that this judgment does await. Do you want me to start?
Sure. This is a little difficult reading too, because we've got brackets. So this text is a little fragmented, and we've got the Greek, we've got the Latin. So it's a little bit tricky read, but we'll get through it.
And I ask you, why is it that when you go to a church, a building with men's hands that was made, why are they not teaching this? Why are they not reading this? What has gone so far wrong that Azazel has been able to take this stuff out of the scriptures? These are all hidden books, and you want to know why they were hidden? So that people could come up with justification to say that, oh, the children that get raped, yeah, they chose that. You know, it's part of the karmic recycle of life. No, it's absolutely false. And the people that aren't out here warning you are they're going to be held accountable too. If you're going around saying that you're a Christian and you're not holding people accountable and warning them, you too will meet the same fate. So this just doesn't go to anybody that doesn't believe in the scriptures. This goes to every other person that does believe in it that's now warning people. So it states here, Bartholomew saith unto him, I saw thee again hanging upon the cross. He's speaking to Christ. And all the dead are rising and worshiping thee, and going up again into the sepulchres. Tell me, O Lord, who was he whom the angels bare in their hands? Even that man that was very great in stature. And what speakest thou unto him that he sighed so sorely? And Christ answered and said unto him, that was Adam, the first formed, for whose sake I came down from heaven upon the earth. And I said unto him, I was hung upon the cross for thee and for thy children's sake. And he, when he heard this, groaned and said, so was thy good pleasure, O Lord. So if you read the first book of Adam and Eve, you're going to understand that the word of Yahweh came unto Adam and told him that he was going to have to go to hell. Adam spent a long time in hell, everybody. Hell wasn't the same as it is in the lake of fire, right? That's a different judgment. Hell was place of perdition. It was darkness. It was just an emptiness of darkness with everybody except for Enoch and Elijah was down there. And this, do you want me to continue? I can do a couple more.
Sure.
And when he had thus spoken, he said unto the apostles, tarry for me in this place, for today a sacrifice is offered in paradise. And Bartholomew answered and said unto Christ, Lord, what is the sacrifice which is offered in paradise? And Christ said unto him, there be souls of the righteous which today have departed out of the body and go unto paradise. And unless I be, and then we're missing a part of that scripture, it continues on, and Bartholomew said, Lord, how many souls depart out of the world daily? And Christ answered unto him, 30,000. And Bartholomew saith unto him, Lord, when thou wast with us teaching the word, didst thou receive the sacrifices in paradise? And Christ answered and said unto him, verily I say unto thee, my beloved, that I both taught the word with you, and continually also sat with my Father and received the sacrifices in paradise. So every day. So what I want to point out is this scripture is also showing us that there are multi-role positions for characters. And not only that, but this is doing away with the whole Trinitarian doctrine. This isn't Christ saying that I am the Father and I'm there receiving the sacrifices. He say, I and the Father are there also. I just wanted to make sure that people understand that. And it continues. Bartholomew answered and said unto him, Lord, if 30,000 souls depart out of this world each and every day, how many souls out of that are found righteous? And Christ said unto him, hardly 50, my beloved. And again, Bartholomew saith,
it's 53. You gotta.
And again, Bartholomew saith, and how do thee only enter into paradise? 53. And Christ saith unto him, the 53 enter into paradise or are laid up in Abraham's bosom, but the others go into the place of resurrection. For the 3 are not like unto the 50. You understand? Now we're getting, this is explaining how some souls, through the breath of life, has it be, so too the wind moves to and fro, so too do our spirits go once the last breath of life leaves us. Some have to come back, and some get taken to paradise, and some get taken off to the place of perdition, and soon to be the lake of fire. You can continue if you'd like, brother, on 34.
Sure. Bartholomew said unto him, Lord, how many souls above the number are born into the world daily? Christ saith unto him, one soul only is born above the number of them that depart. And then we have the Latin version of it. So we'll keep moving. Remember, Bartholomew is going to get this opportunity to question the devil. Very interesting.
He was terrified. He didn't want to do it. Christ told him, come on, you're coming to do this. I am with you. You have nothing to fear. And Bartholomew went and he did it.
All right. So, but they yet doubting said unto him, Lord, show us the deep abyss according unto thy promise. And Christ said unto them, it is not good for you to see the deep. Notwithstanding, if ye desire it, according to my promise, come, follow me, and behold. And he led them away into a place that is called Cherubim, that is the place of truth. And he beckoned unto the angels of the west, and the earth was rolled up like a volume of a book, and the deep was revealed unto them. And when the apostles saw it, they fell on their faces upon the earth.
I just want to point out, if the earth was a sphere, he would have said peeled like an orange. Right? You can only roll up something that's flat. Thought I'd add that.
But Christ raised them up, saying, said I not unto you, it is not good for you to see the deep. And again he beckoned unto the angels, and the deep was covered up.
It's terrifying, you guys. People don't really understand this because the heliocentric model has been spun by nonsensical liars and deceivers, but we're here to tell you that this is real.
All right, and he led them down from the Mount of Olives, and looked wrathfully upon the angels that kept hell, Tartarus, and beckoned unto Michael to sound the trumpet in the height of the heavens. And Michael sounded, and the earth shook, and Beliar came up, being held by 660 angels, and bound with fiery chains. And the length of him was 1,600 cubits, and his breadth 40 cubits, his length 1,900 cubits, his breadth 700, one wing of him 80, and his face was a lightning of fire, and his eyes full of darkness. And out of his nostrils came a stinking smoke, and his mouth was as the gulf of a precipice. And the one of his wings was 80 cubits. And straightway, when the apostles saw him, they fell on the earth on their faces, and became as dead. But Yahushua came near, and raised the apostles, and gave them a spirit of power, and said unto Bartholomew, Come near, Bartholomew, and trample with thy feet on his neck, and he will tell thee his work, and what it is, and how he deceiveth men. All right. And he lightened him, and saith to him, Say all that thou hast done, and all that thou dost. And Beliar answered and said, If thou wilt know my name, at the first I was called Satanel, which is interpreted a messenger of Yahawah. But when I rejected the image of Yahawah, my name was called Satanus, that is, an angel that keepeth the hell, Tartarus. And then there's a bunch of commentary back and forth, things going on.
Michael and Gabriel, Raphael.
Mm-hmm. Bartholomew saith unto him, Flow chastest, chastest thou the soul of man? Ballard say Wilt thou that I declare unto thee the punishment of the hypocrites, of the backbiters, of the jesters, of the idolaters, and the covetous, and the idolaters, and the wizards, and the diviners, and of them that believe in us, and of all whom I look upon deceive? When I will show any illusion by them, but they that do these things, and they that consent unto them or follow them, do perish with me. Bartholomew said unto him, Declare quickly how thou persuadest men not to follow Yahawah and thine evil arts that are slippery and dark, that they should leave the straight and shining paths of the Lord. Bartholomew said unto him, I will that thou declare it in a few words. And he smote his teeth together, gnashing them, and there came up out of the bottomless pit a wheel having a sword flashing with fire, and in the sword were pipes. And he asked him, saying, What is this sword? You want to take over, brother? Sure.
And he said, This sword is the sword of the gluttonous. For into this pipe are sent they that through their gluttony devise all manner of sin. Into the second pipe are sent the backbiters, which backbite their neighbor secretly. And into the third pipe are sent the hypocrites, and the rest whom I overthrow by my contrivance. And an Antichrist said, I will tell thee. And a wheel came up out of the abyss, having 7 fiery knives. The first knife hath 12 pipes. And the Antichrist answered, The pipe of fire in the first knife, in it are put the casters of lots and diviners and enchanters, and they that believe in them and have sought them. Because of their iniquity of their heart, they have invented false divinations. In the second pipe of fire are the first blasphemers, the suicides, the idolaters, and in the rest are the first perjurers. And Bartholomew said, Dost thou then do these things by thyself alone? And Satan said, If I were able to go forth by myself, I would have destroyed the whole world in 3 days. But neither I nor any of the 600 go forth. We have other swift ministers who we command, and we furnish them with a hook of many points and send them forth to hunt, and they catch for us the souls of men, enticing them with the sweetness of diverse baits, that is by drunkenness and laughter and backbiting and hypocrisy and pleasures and fornications and the rest of and then we have a missing text.
Yep.
Because we've lost these fragments. Nobody wanted to get these books. Nobody wants to read this stuff. It's terrifying. But the devil said, Suffer me, and I will tell thee how I was cast down into this place, and how the Lord did make man. And I was going to and fro in the world, and Yahawah said unto Michael, Bring me a clod from the 4 corners of the earth. Again, pointing out that the sphere, ball earth, nonsensical lie does not have 4 corners. Neither does your pizza flying in outer space, Freemasonic New World Order AE map model circling sun map. It doesn't have 4 corners. There's no corners on a circle. This is the true reality that we've been sharing with the realm. And it has nothing to do with Jason. It has to do with the truth. Okay? So it continues. And when Michael brought from Yahawah, he then formed Adam in the regions of the east, and shaped the clod which was shapeless, and stretched the sinews and the veins upon it, and established it with joints. And he worshipped him. So this is Michael. Okay, Michael is doing the work. Yahawah is telling Michael, do this, do this, do this. And then I was and worshipped him for his own sake, because he was the image of Yahawah. Therefore he worshipped him. And when I came from the ends of the earth, Michael said, Worship thou the image of Yahawah, which he hath made according to his likeness. And now we have a Satanel saying, But I said, I am fire of fire. I was the first angel formed. And shall I worship clay and matter? And Michael saith unto me, Worship, lest Yahweh be wroth with thee. But I said unto him, Yahweh will not be wroth with me, but I will set up mine throne over and against his, and I will be as he is. Then was Yahweh wroth with me, and he hath cast me down, having commanded the windows of heaven to be opened. And when I was cast down, he asked also that the 600 that were under me, if they would worship. But they said, like as we have seen the first angel do, neither will we worship him that is less than ourselves. Then we were the 600 also cast down by him with me. You want to take over?
And when we were cast down upon the earth, we were senseless for 40 years, and when the sun shone forth 7 times brighter than fire, suddenly I awaked, and looked about, and saw the 600 that were under me senseless. And I awaked my son Absalom, and took him to counsel how I might deceive the man on whose account I was cast out of the heavens.
So do people starting to understand why the wicked abominations take place? It all started with Adam, okay? They hated him, okay? And then they devised this plan to do wicked, evil things upon mankind, right? And this is how they do it.
And again Bartholomew saith unto him, Lord, is it lawful for me to reveal these mysteries unto every man? Yahushai saith unto him, Bartholomew, my beloved, as many as are faithful, and are able to keep them unto themselves, to them mayest thou entrust these things. For some there are that be worthy of them, but there are also other some unto whom it is not fit to entrust them. For they are vain, swaggerers, drunkards, proud, unmerciful, partakers in idolatry, authors of fornication, slanderers, teachers of foolishness, in doing all works that are the devil. And therefore are they not worthy of these should be entrusted to them. So I was a little concerned about covering some of this, but I really do think
it's time. It's time.
Yeah. So Christ saith unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that hypocrisy and backbiting is heavier than all sins. For because of them, the prophet said in the psalm, that the ungodly shall not rise in the judgment, neither sinners in the counsel of the righteous, neither the ungodly in the judgment of my Father. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that every sin shall be forgiven unto every man, but the sin against the Holy Ghost shall not be forgiven. Now Bartholomew asked the perfect question. Bartholomew saith unto him, What is the sin against the Holy Ghost? Yahushai saith unto him, Whosoever shall decree against any man that hath served my holy Father hath blasphemed against the Holy Ghost. For every man that serveth Yahweh worshipfully is worthy of the Holy Ghost, and he that speaketh anything evil against him shall not be forgiven. Woe unto him that sweareth by the head of Yahweh, yea, woe to him that sweareth falsely by him truly. For there are 12 heads of Yahweh the Most High, for he is the truth, and in him is no lie, neither forswearing. So this right here is a very, very explicit description of what the unforgivable sin is, what the sin against the Holy Spirit is. And it says very plainly that whosoever shall decree against any man that hath served my holy Father hath blasphemed against the Holy Ghost. So the people that say false things about people that are being led by the Father are committing unforgivable sins. This is the most serious thing.
Because they're actively an adversary of the truth. To work against, to censor, to hold back, to speak evil of those that are here trying to save souls. That is the unspeakable, unsavable sin.
And it continues. Bartholomew saith, O Lord, and if any sin with sin of the body, what is their reward? Because remember we talked about how you can sin in your mind with your thoughts, but then you can also sin with your body as well. Christ said, It is good if he that is baptized presents his baptism blameless, but the pleasure of the flesh will become a lover. For a single marriage belongeth to sobriety. For verily I say unto thee, He that sinneth after the third marriage wife is unworthy of Yahawah. We've got Latin. The married, if they are good, so it says, but if the lust of the flesh come upon him, he ought to be the husband of one wife. The married, if they are good and pay tithes, will receive 100-fold. The second marriage is lawful on the condition of the diligent performance of good works and due payment of tithes, but a third marriage is reprobate, and virginity is best.
Now, not too many people are able to claim that one.
Yeah. All right, so that...
Do we have another book? Because then we'll do one more song break before we do the last book.
Yeah, let's do another break here. Last break. We'll see y'all in just a second.
Nice car, where did you get it? Before, it's it automatic. Are you going downtown? I mind if I get in. Turn the music up loud, right up to 11. So let's drive anywhere. Can you take me there? I've never known a feeling like it. I've never known a feeling like it.
And we are back.
A little bit lighter of a song, right? We still got one more good song, but I mean, this is some crazy stuff to get into. It's tough to hear because it's been hidden from people for a reason, right? There's a reason why all this was hidden.
All right. So this last scripture is the vision of Paul, and there's a lot here. So what we're going to do is just get into it a little bit to give you a taste of it. And this is something that we'll be going through in detail on Sunday. But this right here really gives a person really good intuition, understanding of what's going to be taking place at Judgment Day. Mm-hmm. So this right here starts off with talking about the things that want to testify against us, the things that have witnessed the things that we've done that want to testify against us. So it says, for indeed the Son, the great light, often addressed the Lord, saying, Lord, Yahawah Almighty, I look out upon the impieties and justices of men. Permit me, and I shall do unto them what are many...
What? I just want to point out that this is the testimony of the great luminary, which is called in English the Son, right? This is the Son talking to Yahawah. It is a witnesser. We continue to repeat over and over again that everything we do is recorded. The sun, the moon, and all the stars, the clouds, these are all witnessers. They're recording and witnessing everything that takes place on the earth.
And there came a voice saying to him, I know all these things, for my eye sees and ear hears, but my patience bears them until they should be converted and repent. But if they do not return to me, I will judge them all. For sometimes the moon and stars address the Lord, saying, Lord Yahweh Almighty, to us you have given the power of the night. Till when shall we look down upon the impieties and fornications and homicides done by the sons of men? Permit us to do unto them according to our powers, that they may know that you are the Elohim alone. And there came a voice unto them, saying, I know all these things, and my eye looks forth, and ear hears, but my patience bears with them, until they shall be converted and repent. But if they do not return unto me, I will judge them. And frequently also the sea exclaimed, saying, Lord Yahweh Almighty, men have defiled your holy name in me. Permit me to arise and cover every wood and orchard in the whole world, until I blot out all the sons of men from before your face, that they may know that you are the Elohim alone. And the voice came again and said, I know all these things. My eyes sees everything, and my ears hear. But my patience bears with them until they are converted and repent. But if they do not return, I will judge them. Sometimes the waters also spoke against the sinners of men, saying, Lord Almighty, all of the sons of men have defiled your holy name. And there came a voice saying, I know all these things before they come to pass. For my eyes see and my ears hear. But my patience bears with them until they be converted. But I will not, but if not, I will judge them. Frequently also the earth to exclaim to the Lord against the sons of men, saying, Lord Elohim Almighty, I above every other creature of yours am harmed, supporting the fornications, adulteries, homicides, thefts, perjuries, magic, ill doings of men, and all the evil that they do, so that the Father raises up against the Son, and that the Son upon the Father, the alien against the alien, so that each one defiles his neighbor's wife. The Father ascends up upon the bed of his own Son, and the Son likewise ascends the couch of his own Father. In all these evils, they who offer the sacrifice to your name have defiled your holy place. Therefore I am injured above every creature, desiring not to show my power to myself, and my fruits to the sons of men. Permit me, and I will destroy the virtue of my fruits. And there came a voice and said, I know all things, and there is none who can hide himself from his sin. Moreover, I know their impieties, but my holiness suffers them until they be converted and repent. But if they do not return unto me, I will judge them.
So I want to completely point out over and over again that the Father is merciful. He has given us 6,000 years, and who knows how many countless times to repent, to do right, to come out and say, I was wrong. I admit it. I myself have had to repent and turn from wicked ways. Okay? But you too on the other side of the screen can too. While you still have the breath of life in you, there's mercy for you. Do you know how many times the Father actually begged and followed Cain to have Cain just admit what he had done and fess up to it? Many times, many times, but Cain wouldn't turn. But you on the other side of the screen, if you're an idolater, if you're cheating on your wife, if you're lying, if you're promoting wicked things, if you're doing incantations and spells to try to gain power and wealth in this world, you still have a chance while there's breath in your lungs that you don't have to go where the worm never dies, or that the fire will constantly burn you, where you'll be thrown down off mountains, because this place is created for these people. And I'll continue. It says, behold, you sons of men, the creature is subject to Yahweh. But the human race alone, every creature is subject unto Yahweh, but the human race alone sins. For this cause, therefore, you sons of men, bless ye Yahweh, the Elohim, unceasingly, every hour and every day, but more especially when the sun has set. For at that hour all the angels proceed forth up unto the Lord to worship him and to present the works of men, which every man has wrought from the morning till the evening, whether good or evil. And there is a certain angel who proceeds rejoicing concerning the man in whom he dwells. And that's Adam. And when therefore the sun has set in the first hour of the night, in that same hour, the angel of every people and every man and every woman, now we're getting an accounting that each one of us has an angel that watches over everything we do and witnesses it and reports it unto the Father. And it says, similarly, also in the matin hour, which is the 12th of the night, all the angels of, did I miss something? All the angels of men and women go up unto Yahweh to worship Yahweh and to present every work which each man has wrought, whether good or evil. Moreover, every day and night the angels show to Yahweh an account of all the acts of the human race. To you, therefore I say, you sons of men, bless ye Yahweh, the Elohim of Elohims, without fail, all the days of your life. Now, I don't do it enough at night. Every single morning before I get out of my bed, my head hits the floor and I pray the Father's Prayer, because in that Father's Prayer, Christ told us to keep us safe from the wicked one, who is the book that we just read. I'll continue in number 8. Therefore, at the appointed hour, all the angels, whatever rejoicing at once together, proceed before Yahweh, that they may meet to worship at the hour determined. And behold, suddenly it became the hour of meeting, and the angels came to worship in the presence of Yahweh. And the Spirit proceeded to meet them. And there came a voice and said, Whence come ye, our angels, bearing the burdens of tidings? And they answered and said, We came from those who have renounced this world for the sake of your holy name, wandering as pilgrims and in caves of the rocks, and weeping every hour in which they inhabited the earth, and hungering and thirsting because of your name, with their loins girded, having their hands in the incense of their hearts, and praying and blessing every hour, and restraining and overcoming themselves. Again, these are lusts and pleasures of our lives, weeping and wailing above the rest of the inhabitants of the earth. And we indeed, their angels, mourn alongside with them. Whether therefore it shall please you, command us to go and minister, lest others also do it. But the destitute above the rest who are on earth. And there came a voice of Yahweh unto them, saying, Know ye now henceforward that my grace is appointed unto you, and my help, who is my well-beloved Son. Yahweh is not saying to myself, who went into the world to die for me. No, he's saying his beloved Son. Now that means he has multiple sons, but he's choosing one that he calls his beloved, shall be present with them. And of course, we know that Michael is the archangel above mankind, guiding them every hour, ministering also to them, never deserting them, since their place is his inhabitation. So again, I want people to know you are never alone. It doesn't matter how depressed you are. It doesn't matter if you've been cheated on, lied to, if you have witches and people trying to cast spells against you. If you call out to Yahweh, you have a worker, you have an angel who is put there with you. You are never truly alone. These scriptures are true, and everything that a man say may be false, but this I guarantee you is the truth.
And it continues, When therefore these angels had retired, behold, other angels came to adore in the presence of honor in the assembly, who wept. And the Spirit of Yahweh proceeded to meet them, and there came the voice of Yahweh and said, Whence come ye, our angels, bearing the burdens of the ministry of the tidings of the world? They answered and said, In the presence of Yahweh, we have arrived from those who have called upon your name. And the impediments of the world made them wretched, devising many occasions every hour, not even making one pure prayer, nor out of their whole heart in all the time of their life. What need, therefore, is there to be present with men who are sinners? And there came the voice of Yahweh to them, It is necessary that you should minister to them until they be converted and repent. But if they do not return to me, I will judge them. Know therefore, sons of men, that whatever things are wrought by you, these angels relate to Yahweh, whether good or evil. And the angel answered and said to him, Follow me, and I will show you the place of the just, where they are led when they are deceased. And after these things, taking you into the abyss, I will show you the souls of sinners, and what sort of place they are led into when they have deceased. And I proceeded back after the angel, and he led me into heaven, and I looked back upon the firmament, And I saw in the same place power, and there was there oblivion, which deceives and draws down to itself the hearts of men, in the spirit of detraction, and the spirit of fornication.
I want to point out that the firmament is a reference to the skies, which houses the stars and all of the birds. It's not a stupid Freemasonic New World Order A map model dome. The firmament has to be the stretched out areas above us.
The word was rakia, right? Rakia.
The heavens, the skies above, the places where the birds fly and the stars and the luminaries dwell.
And the spirit of fornication, and the spirit of madness, and the spirit of insolence. And there were there the princes of the vices. These I saw under the firmament of heaven. And again I looked back, and I saw angels without mercy, having no pity, whose countenance was full of madness, and their teeth sticking out beyond the mouth. Their eyes shone like the morning stars of the east, and from the hairs of their heads sparks of fire went out, or from their mouth. And I asked the angel, saying, Sir, who are those? And the angel answered and said unto me, These are those who are destined to the souls of the impious in the hour of need, who did not believe that they had the Lord for their helper, nor hoped in him.
1 second, I want to pause here. And you know what's even more sick and twisted is that the Azazel and the Wicked One hath made this cool. People go around making horror movies and memes and other types of posts and things like that, glorifying these angels that were created to enact the Yahawah's justice. These are not beings that you want to ever be anywhere near. I want to repeat this. You might think it's cool when you're online and maybe someone's tuning in here and you like the Hellraiser movie and you think all this is good. But I tell you now, if you verily, I truly tell you, if you ever have to encounter one of these beings, you will become dead. You will be wished that you were never born. There isn't a sea deep enough that you could be tied a millstone to your neck, that you could be put down to. You would beg for that. These creatures are created for those that do these wicked things. And it's not something that I want anyone to ever go through. Did you want to keep going?
Sure. And I looked on high, and I saw other angels, whose countenance shone as the sun, their loins girded with golden girdles, having palms in their hands, and the sign of Yahawah, clothed with garments, in which was written the name of the Son of Yahawah, filled moreover with all meekness and pity. And I asked the angel, saying, Who are these, Lord, in so great beauty and pity? And the angel answered and said to me, These are the angels of justice, who are sent to lead up the souls of the just in the hour of need, who believed that they had the Lord for their helper. And I said to him, Do the just and sinners necessarily meet witnesses when they have died? And the angel answered and said to me, There is one way by which all pass over to Yahawah, but the just, having their helper with them, are not confounded when they go to appear in the sight of Yahawah. So it's like you've got this helper with you that's going to walk you through the process if you're a righteous person.
Protect you.
And I said to the angel, I wish to see the souls of the just, of sinners, going out of the world. And the angel answered and said to me, Look down upon the earth. And I looked down from heaven upon the earth and saw the whole.
He's not looking through a dome.
And he saw the whole world. You can't do that with a globe, right?
Yeah. And how did he see the whole world if it's a globe?
Mm-hmm. And it was nothing in my sight. And I saw the sons of men as though they were not and a wanting. And I wondered and said to the angel, Is this the greatness of men? And the angel answered and said to me, It is, and these are they who do evil from morning till evening. And I looked and saw a great cloud of fire spread over the whole world. And I said to the angel, What is this, my Lord? And he said to me, This is injustice stirred up by the prince of sinners. And I answered, when I had heard this, sighed and wept, and said to the angel, I wish to see the souls of the just and of sinners, and to see in what manner they go out of body. And the angel answered and said to me, Look again upon the earth. And I looked and saw all the world, and men were as naught and a wanting. And you want to take over, brother?
Sure. And I looked carefully, and saw a certain man about to die. And the angel said unto me, This one whom you see was a just man. And I looked again and saw all of his works, whatever he had done for the sake of Yahweh's name, and all his desires, both what he remembered and what he did not remember. And they all stood in the sight of, in the hour of need. And I saw the just man advance and find refreshment and confidence. And before he went out of the world, the holy and impious angels both attended. And I saw them all, but the impious found no place of habitation in him. But the holy took possession of his soul, guiding it till it went out of the body. And they roused the soul, saying, Soul, know your body whence you go out of it. For it is necessary that you should return to the same body on the day of the resurrection, that you may receive the things that are promised to all of the just. Receiving therefore the soul from the body, they immediately kissed it, as is familiarly known to them, saying, Do manfully, for you have done the will of Yahweh, well placed in the earth. And there came to meet him the angel who watched him every day, and said unto him, Do manfully so, for I rejoice in you, because you have done the will of Yahweh on the earth. For I related to Yahweh all of your works, such as they were. Similarly, also the Spirit proceeded to meet him and said, Soul, fear not, nor be disturbed, until you come into the place which you have never known. But I will be a helper unto you. For I found in you a place of refreshment in the time when I dwelt with you, in you, while I was on the earth. And his Spirit strengthened me, and the angel received him and led him up into the heavens. And an angel said, Whither do you run, O soul? Or do you dare to enter into heaven? Wait, let us see if there is anything of ours in you. Behold, we find nothing in you. I see also your divine helper, an angel, and the Spirit is rejoicing alongside with you, because you have done the will of Yahweh on earth. And they led him along till he should worship in the sight of Yahweh. And when they had ceased, immediately Michael, right? And all of the army of angels with one voice adored the footstool of his feet and his doom, saying at this time to the soul, This is your Elohim of all things, who made you in his own image and likeness. Moreover, the angel returns and points him out, saying, Yahweh, remember his labors, for this is the soul whose works I related unto you, doing according to your judgment. And the Spirit said likewise, I am the Spirit of vivification. How do you say that word? Vivification?
Vivification, I guess.
Inspiring him, for I had refreshment in him, in the time when I dwelt in him, doing according to your judgment. And there came the voice of Yahweh, saying, Inasmuch as this man did not vex me, neither will I vex him. For according he has had pity, I also have piety, for I also have piety. Pity. Let him therefore be handed over to Michael, the angel of the covenant, and let him lead him unto paradise of joy, into paradise of joy. Then he himself may become co-heirs with all of the saints. And after all of these things, I heard the voices of 1,000,000 angels, and the archangels, and cherubim, and the 24 elders, saying hymns, and glorifying the Lord, and crying, You are just, O Lord, and the just are your judgments. And there is no acceptance of persons with you, but you reward unto every man according to your judgment. And the angel answered and said unto me, Have you believed and known that whatever each man of you has done, he sees in the hour of need? And I said, Yes.
All right. So that's the good stuff. And this kind of stuff.
The rest for Sunday?
Yeah, so I just want to show people. I want to show people here quick this highlighted stuff. I'm going to start scrolling here. Come on. So we've got all of this, which is really important stuff, talking about what's happening to the righteous and what is happening to the wicked here. All right, this just keeps going. I'm only halfway through the page right now. Keep going, keep going. So the green is for the righteous, the red is for the wicked, the yellow is just important
You need to
stuff to
hear it.
know. Yeah, so I just want to show everybody this goes on and on here with lots of details. Lots of detail. Yep.
And context.
We're gonna have to save that for Sunday because there's just too much. We've been going a long time already. So how do you want to wrap this up, brother?
So, the one thing I want to say is that I don't come into public places to make prayers. I do that in private. But I will tell everybody that's tuned in tonight, please, I would like all of you to pray for Bob's soul. That at least Bob was able to give us the ability to show what somebody does in witnessable evidence of actions against the Father and the truth. So pray that at least that the soul of Bob could be saved still. Now, I'm not the judge, but I don't want to see Bob in any of those situations that we read before. So have an open heart. Don't pray in public places. Pray in private. That's where your Father is, and that's where he'll hear you. So please, we did not do this podcast to condemn Bob. We did it because we document evidence, and we are here as witnesses of the truth. We don't want to condemn anybody. I don't want to see anybody meet that fate. The only one I want to see meet that fate is the wicked one, who we heard Bartholomew with his foot upon the neck of. That is who deserves the torment in wicked places. So again, we don't have to bring this up again. We are done dealing with Glowbusters and the Bob Knodel nonsense. I'm not going to say any other names. If you're still alive and you're still actively fighting against the truth, there's a good chance that Jason and I are going to be close by, because we're here to witness to the truth and to fight for it. Whether it be one person that tunes in, we will still be here even if there's no one. So again, Jason, thank you for putting together this podcast. I thought it was excellent. I thought we did our best. I in no way want to piss on Bob's grave. I want you to pray that Bob's soul is still saved. With me tonight, when we leave the hangout, before you go to bed, pray unto the angels of heaven that Bob could not be taken into any places of torment for something that he maybe didn't understand. Pray that he can still be saved. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate all of the comments, everything that you guys put in the chat. Nothing was deleted tonight. Your words are going to be accountable. You will be accountable for each and everything that you added to the podcast. And when you leave here tomorrow, when you get up, everything that you do is going to be accounted for. So try to have a good day, try to love other people, and, try to do better. That's all. We're all sinners, okay? I'm not perfect. Jason's not perfect, but you know what? We can ask the Father to help us become better. That's it. That's my goal. And I hope I did my job tonight. I hope at least one person heard me, and maybe they think maybe it's a good idea that they don't meet those disgusting torments.
I think you wrapped it up excellently, brother. I don't have anything to add to that. It's fantastic. We should be live Sunday evening, continuing what happens at death. What is the promise for the righteous people? What is the promise for the wicked people? And we're going to continue that conversation. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And till next time. Where's the only place anybody's going to get any of this information, brother?
On the Yahawashai News Network.
Good night, everyone.
Breathe me in, breathe me out, let me go. I'm full of doubt, but I'm fighting to make it work. I know you said I'm good enough, but you